606. Are you a skilled plumber looking for a top-rated team? Join Ben's Plumbing. Rated 5 stars for exceptional service. Enjoy great pay and benefits, a supportive team, and a non-commissioned plumbing career. Apply now at bens.plumbing. That's bens.plumbing.
Joy.
Let's go!
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma.
This hour is brought to you by the Harnish Auto family.
Give me a freaking auto!
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Brock and Salk on Seattle Sports.
Brock Ewert is my hero.
Jay Buhner just punched me in the kidney.
Brought to you by Simply Seattle.
We're going to accuse you of manager.
Doesn't really work that way, Sherm. This is a show that has my name on it.
It kind of does, though.
Now here are your hosts, Brock Ewert and Mike Salk.
All right, let's get this underway. The Brock and Salk Show. It still is Seattle Sports on 710, seattlesports.com, Seattle Sports app, and all the podcast platforms as well. Training camp starts today. First practice, football season ready to begin, and our training camp coverage will be presented by The Landing in Renton. Thank you to them for helping us with practice and parking. Right, and we're going to park over at the Landing. I think everybody does.
Yeah.
And then
take a shuttle over.
Shuttle on over. Hey, we're not doing that on the morning that we're actually there, right? I'm not doing that.
Oh, you expect valet that morning?
Well, I expect to park actually on the field, to be honest with you. Like, I would like to be able to drive my car directly onto the practice field and, kind of roll right out onto the set. Yeah. Is that what we call this, a set? Like it's TV? No, it's cool. It's
Even John Clayton didn't get that treatment.
Yes, he did. Didn't Pearson, drive over to his house in a golf cart and pick him up? I think he did.
I think that was only if he had to do Sirius after the show.
I think
then he wanted a little help.
I think they literally, drove him to and from his house. Because he lived, in case he never told you, a little close, right around the corner from...
He could hear the music from practice from his house.
I don't know if he'd be hearing it today because I don't think the music's going to be quite as loud or quite as prevalent. I am fascinated to see what that berm is going to look like today, to see what the vibe is, not just on the field, but off of it with the fans and all of that. I am very much looking forward to seeing the scene at Seahawks practice today. So that will be a big part of our show. Jaren Reed, one of the senior members of this Seahawks team, certainly the guy who was here the earliest and probably at this point the longest, right? I know he was gone and back, but this is going to be his 9th year. So he's played 6 seasons here. Does that sound right? Because one season in Green Bay, 1 season in Kansas City.
I think so.
So I think that probably makes him and Tyler Lockett right around the same time. So all right, if he's not the longest tenured, he's on the list of longest tenured Seahawks, even if he left and came back. So
I think Tyler's 2015, he's 2016.
Okay, so he's probably number 2 on that list. Regardless, one of the senior members of the Seahawks here, and a guy who's seen a lot, and unlike Tyler, has seen it from other perspectives as well, having been in Green Bay for a year, having been in Kansas City for a year. So kind of curious to chat with him. We'll do that at 7:45, bump Blue 88 a little bit later to 8 o'clock, and then some more football talk with Dan Graziano at 8:30, and some sound from a division rival who seems quite enamored with Mr. McDonald. I'll play you that, actually some of it in Need to Know, coming up here in about 10-15 minutes. But...
Oh, don't do it.
That's not the only story today, Maura. Gotta get myself loosened up to talk about the other story. I went to the ball game last night. Were you there? Not you, everybody. Were you at the ball game last night? There were a lot of people there. There were a lot of people at the ball game.
It's a fun time still.
You know what? They seemed pretty happy. Yeah. They got excited when Kevin James told everybody to start their engines. They did. They cheered.
The King of Queens guy?
Yeah, I don't know why he's there wearing a Mariners hat, yelling at everybody to start their engines, but he is, which is fun. It was cool. That was nice. The rhinos still run across when you yell charge, which is fun. And the rhinos they're charging across the screen. That part's fun.
Feels like you're avoiding something.
Oh, the game. Oh, the big game. Yes, the game. Yeah, the game sucked. It was terrible. That was one of the worst. Well, I shouldn't say that. It was among the worst baseball games I've attended in person. It really was. It was a terrible baseball game. It was awful. It was poorly played. It wasn't particularly well pitched. Wasn't bad. Give Logan credit. He was fine. Till he decided to get himself involved in the defense. It was not well defended. Obviously, nobody hit. It was a terrible baseball game. And I'll get into this in a little bit more detail later. 7 o'clock, we'll kind of chat through this with Brock. But this is clearly, without a shadow of a doubt, the biggest moment of Scott's career. It's not close. I think everybody knows how I feel about Scott. Strongly. I think he's an excellent manager, and I think the job he's done here in Seattle has been tremendous. Honestly, I do. And you can disagree with me if you want. That's fine. It's my honest opinion. I think Scott does a really good job. And I think he is in a really, really important, difficult spot right now. Manager can't hit for the players. It's not Scott's fault when guys don't hit. It's just not. A manager can't pitch for the players. It's not the manager's fault when the pitching isn't good. Those things are not the manager's fault, and I am not going to blame a manager for a team not hitting or not pitching particularly well. But sloppy play, that comes back to the manager, ultimately. And Scott knows that. Why do you think he was so upset the other night? He knows that that's on him. It's unfortunate because it's still the players who are out there doing that job. But errors, hysterically bad defense, which is what we saw last night, those things tend to indicate a lack of focus. And in the last week, it hasn't just been that you're not hitting against a woefully inept Angels team. It's not just that your relievers have given it up, which they have. It's that you didn't look focused. And unfortunately for Scott, that's going to be his job and his challenge. Now, you don't fire a manager because you were unfocused for 2 or 3, games. That's dumb. And I'm not suggesting that anybody is going to nor should fire Scott Service today. But it's going to be a significant challenge. He needs to get this team focused again. I don't know how he's going to do it. What's swirling around behind the scenes is bad. It is distracting. It is a confluence of events between the trade deadline, the bungling of the Ty France DFA / irrevocable waivers situation, the Julio injury, the J.P. Crawford injury, all while Dominic Canzone is injured. That's like 5 things that unfortunately all have come together at the same time, all while losing and not hitting, all of it together. While the Astros had, at least until yesterday, been playing some of their best baseball of the season. When all of those things come together at the same time, it's understandable that it's a distraction, that it's hard to go out and do your job and be as focused as you need to be. But you know what I saw yesterday? What happens when you lose focus in that game for a moment? I know we talk about baseball as being a mental game. We don't talk about it enough. Seriously, we don't. We talk about baseball. Oh, it's a mental game. You got to be focused. Yeah. What's this? What can this guy do? How can he hit? How can he pitch? These guys got to lock in. Baseball and golf are probably the 2 most similar games. Not exact, but they're probably the most similar. And both of them, and go back and listen to Xander Schauffele. Go back and listen to him at the end of the Open Championship, which he just won, saying that, he lost focus for a moment at the end, walking up 18, and he's like, I got to go lock this back in. Because if you don't focus at that level of play in those types of sports, you're done. Can't perform. And you saw last night, the moment you lose focus in baseball, you drop a pop-up. I got it. You got it. Uh-oh. Drop pop-up. You throw a bunt over the catcher's head and then get in the way of the runner coming around third base. Joke show. Little League. You can't do that. Why? Because you weren't focused. You can't get picked off first base the way Mr. Class A did the other day. Lack of focus. Those J.P. Crawford with his errors a couple nights ago, those are focus issues. And you see it the moment things start to swirl. Things are going bad off the field, and they have a habit of making their way onto the field. That's baseball. just like it's golf and a whole bunch of other sports as well. If you can't focus in this game, you're toast. And unfortunately for Scott, he's got to deal with more distraction around this team than ever before, as it feels emotionally like things are falling apart. They're not actually fallen. I mean, they sure looked that way according to the lineup last night. But there's, hope Julio comes back soon. And, there are ways that you can still pull out of this tailspin. But you got to do it. And that starts up here with the mind. I'm pointing at my head, not with the body. Not even just with the lineup. Not even some of it's going to be you need new players. You cannot run out a lineup like you did yesterday. There are 4 guys in that lineup that aren't, major league players. At least right now. I mean, if poor Vossler and Locklear and Cade Marlowe, and honestly, I mean, you got a 4th guy who you just picked up off waivers in Robles, who's leading off for you yesterday. You got 4 guys in your lineup that aren't even really supposed to be here. Not to mention the guys you have on your bench at that point are Class A and Rivas. Because Dylan Moore is now a starting shortstop in Major League Baseball, which is not really who Dylan Moore is. You can't tell me that's a Major League lineup. Of course it's not. Not right now. Not for a first-place team or second-place team that's supposed to be in contention and buying. Come on. Stop it. So, yeah, you got problems like with what you're putting the product out there, but Scott can't control that. He's got to control up here. The 1 square foot of real estate right above the shoulders for all 26 of those guys. And it's an incredible challenge, but it's one that unfortunately is presented to him right now, and he's got to figure out how to deal with it.
Get the national perspective on the Mariners.
Swing and a miss and a slider, strike 3.
With Jeff Passan, Tuesday mornings at 8:30.
I don't think that it is unrealistic to believe that they have the talent and the ability to win a championship with this team.
And John Morosi, Thursdays at 5 p.m.
Their DNA remains intact. This is a rotation-dependent team.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Mariners.
At State Roofing, you can trust us to get your project done right because we prioritize quality and excellence in everything we do. Take advantage of 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest today, and don't pay until 2025. Call State Roofing at 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com.
Hey, it's Amanda. With King LASIK, you can ditch the glasses and contacts and get LASIK from the Northwest's most experienced team. King LASIK has performed over 250,000 procedures. And this month, save $1,000. Start with a free Zoom consult at kinglasik.com.
Looking for the best synthetic turf in the Northwest? At Synthetic Turf Northwest, we resell our premium line of Northwest Pro Natural products to both businesses and consumers. From industry-leading supplies to expert advice, we have everything you need to complete your installation, whether it's for your customers or for your own DIY project. Now through July 31st, ask about how you can beat the heat and save up to $1,000 on your next project. It's a limited time offer, so call us today and discover why we're the Northwest's trusted source for quality synthetic turf. SyntheticTurfNorthwest.com, 425-788-0718.
Summer's here and it's time for you to put yourself in the game. But you don't have to do it alone. Come visit the incredible showroom and the all-star team at Toyota of Kirkland. With a large selection of over 70 brand new Tundras and Tacomas on the lot, you'll be able to test drive one and take it home the same day. And don't forget about that lifetime powertrain warranty. Now that's how you become the MVP. Come in today or visit online at toyotaofkirkland.com. toyotaofkirkland.com.
Did you know there's a revolutionary pediatric cancer treatment called immunotherapy going on at Seattle Children's Hospital? Kids with cancer know that true strength comes from within. And with immunotherapy, they can fight cancer from the inside out with their own superpower, their immune systems. However, pediatric cancer research and trials are severely underfunded. G. Scott here asking you to join the fight for all kid kind. Next time you're at Safeway checkout, please choose to make a donation. Thank you for becoming an immuno hero.
Experience an unforgettable night of music as Gavin DeGraw and Colby Calais grace the stage at the Emerald Queen Casino Event Center, Friday, August 2nd. Gavin DeGraw's soulful voice and Colby Calais' Grammy-winning melodies. Tickets at emeraldqueen.com. Don't miss your chance to see Gavin DeGraw and Colby Calais live in concert August 2nd at the Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest. 21 and older, need gambling help, call 800-547-6133 or visit emeraldqueen.com.
As a roofer, I'm always on the go, so I need to be able to get things done from anywhere. That's why I partner with Beacon. With the Beacon Pro Plus app, I've got the brands I depend on, like CertainTeed Landmark Pro, right at my fingertips. It's like having my Beacon rep in my pocket 24/7. I rely on Beacon because I never stop building, and neither do they. Now through November, purchase CertainTeed through Beacon Pro Plus and earn up to $750. Beacon, always building.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you know that these days, generating growth is a challenge. By teaming with Bank of America, you'll not just stay ahead of the curve, you'll move it. With access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2024 Bank of America N.A.
With new leadership, the Seahawks are ready to get to work. Training camp coverage is presented by The Landing in Renton on your home for the Seahawks, Seattle Sports.
Download the free Upside app to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or e-gift card. Download the free Upside app now and use promo code GIFT for an extra 25 cents per gallon cash back on your first fill-up. That's promo code GIFT.
Downy Rinse and Refresh. Break up with stinky clothes.
Rinse it out. Every now and then I get a little bit tired of the stinks that just will never come out. Oh, Downy in the rinse cage. Every now and then I rinse it out. One wash and it delivers. One wash, it smells so clean. Downy Rinse and Refresh, it's a dream.
Downy Rinse and Refresh removes 100% of odor in just one wash. Guaranteed.
Texting enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Taking Nugenix Total T makes a huge difference for me.
Nugenix? That's the testosterone booster with TV ads with Frank Thomas, right? Are they still giving out complimentary bottles?
Yes.
Text radio to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix.
Hey, Brock Ewart here with my buddy Dave Taylor from First Mark Insurance. So glad, so thankful that Molly and I made the call. Had heard so many First Mark Challenge victories, we needed to take that challenge. What does happen from your perspective when that caller, when that email, when that person reaches out to you for a First Mark Challenge victory?
That's a great question. So there's several steps we go through in the process. The first step is we're going to gather information, find out all we can about that client and what their needs are. The next step is we will go out to the market. We have dozens and dozens of carriers that will compete for the business. At the end of that process, we will then bring those findings back to the customer, show them what we found, and who the eventual winner was in that competition.
And it may be who they're with.
It might be, yes. And sometimes that's the best we can do is recommend they stay where they are, but maybe modify a few coverages to put them in a better position.
So go take that challenge today. Go be the next First Mark Challenge victory. It costs you nothing, and they will be there with you every step of the way. FirstMarkInsurance.com. FirstMarkInsurance.com. This hour is brought to you by the Harnish Auto family.
Need to know. Brought to you by Ben's Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. Up first.
A brutal night for the Mariners in just about every way. Offense, some new faces, but looked identical. Scores just one run. Came on a double play, which might be the most depressing way to score a run. The pitching, typically good, except for one inning where it just got away from Logan Gilbert. And even then, it was much more the defense. That was the biggest issue. This play was Little League.
The pitch to Neto shows bunt, lays it down on the first base side. Here comes the runner at third. Logan has it. High throw to the catcher. Gets on by Cal Raleigh. Scoring is Shanuel. Here comes Drury trying to score. The throw back to Gilbert. And Gilbert puts the tag on Drury at home plate. And the run is going to score. 2 runs are going to score. And the Angels now have a 3-0 lead.
It was a little confusing because nobody had seen that there was interference on Josh Rojas, who was standing, unfortunately, right in the path of the runner who was coming around third base, never imagining for a moment that the guy might be there because of a throw like that. So both runs score, and it just sort of felt over after that. He gave up 2 more runs in the inning. It was ugly. And on one hand, this is exactly what Scott was upset about the previous night. You can't give bad teams extra runs, especially when you're not hitting. On the other hand, the mistakes were made by a pitcher, a first baseman who was called up earlier that day. It was an ugly night at the ballpark.
Again, we haven't handled it very well coming out of the break so far. A couple games from Houston got away from us. Haven't done much in this series. Got to come back tomorrow. That's all I can say.
I don't know what else he could say after that one. He's got to find a way to get this team focused. Yes, it's a weird environment. I don't like all of those changes at once. It feels like panic. I understand it's because of the Julio and Crawford injuries, and we'll get to those in a moment. But it just feels like a lot of new faces all at one time. Astros lose, though, so no change in the standings. Luis Castillo try to salvage a win in this series today, 1 o'clock start.
Here's the second thing you need to know.
All right, let's see if we can run through all these moving parts for the Mariners roster yesterday as both Julio and J.P. Crawford officially land on the IL. For Julio, it is a high ankle sprain. For J.P., a broken hand. So let's start with Julio. I would think and hope that this is just a 10-day stint and he can play through this after, a week and a half off. Here's what he had to say.
I feel like it was a smart choice. Obviously I want to be on the field like today, but can I play today? Not. So I just feel like is the best to give it a chance to somebody else I can contribute to the team right now in the meantime and continue to push forward and get this ankle better as soon as we can.
Okay, so you're going to look at least 10 days without Julio. As for JP, broken hand, I would think that would be a while. He's a tough dude, but even after a broken hand heals, it tends to continue to linger for a while. So, I mean, could this be a month or more without JP? That certainly wouldn't surprise me if that was the case. I don't know if he's done for the year, but I think he's going to miss a significant amount of time. Again, just my feeling, not based on anything I've heard or anything they've said. So, does this change the story a little bit? Does it open the door for a player like Bo Bichette or Luis Robert, as you are now suddenly missing your shortstop and your center fielder, your on-base guy and your biggest hitter? Big decisions looming still for Jerry and the Mariners. Ty France officially designated for assignment, so no one claimed him off waivers. No kidding. He comes off the 40-man roster, and if they have 10 days now to trade him or release him, regardless, he will be done with the Mariners organization. In their place, Tyler Locklear, who played last night, Luis Rivas, who did not, and Cade Marlowe, who did. They all make their returns to the big leagues. Locklear did have a nice hit, but struggled in the field in his first game back. Rivas has been having a pretty good year at Tacoma. He can play short. And then Marlowe has been hotter recently. It's been kind of an up and down year, but it was nice to see him back in the outfield last night.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
Oh, it's also go time for Mike McDonald and the Seahawks, who have their first full practice of training camp today. No pads yet, so it's not going to look too dissimilar to what we saw in the offseason, but there's so many new moving pieces to this team. And right now, I would say I still have more questions than answers, which is okay. Right? What is this defense going to look like? Is it going to look like that Ravens D that got to the quarterback last year and essentially made stars out of players that had underperformed until McDonald got there? Is Ryan Grubb going to take this offense that was so effective in college and adapt it to the NFL? Can he and Geno take full advantage of this receiving core that has so much talent at that position? How do you follow a legend like Pete Carroll, whose fingerprints are still all over that building? We're not going to get answers to those for quite some time, but hopefully we'll start to get a handle on some of them today. Tell you what, his competition here in the NFC West, and arguably the best coach in the game right now, Sean McVay, had a lot of praise for what Mr. McDonald's done on the defensive side of the ball.
You felt like you were playing against 13 players sometimes, and obviously, Roquan does such a great job with his communication, his command. Thought Patrick Queen was excellent. But really, overall, I thought they were such a well-coordinated and a well-executed defense from the players to the coaches.
Well, that's coming here to Seattle, and he'll have some talent, and he'll have some guys who can communicate. That would seem to be a real priority for them in the offseason. But now we got to go actually see it on the field. Some great news, by the way, before camp even starts. Both starting linebackers pass their physicals and come off the PUP list. They should be ready to practice today. Huge news, considering the lack of depth at that position. That is everything you need to know. And we do that quarter past every hour here on the Brock and Salk show. All right, let's see. You know what? I don't want to go to the text line, but that's... Yeah, that's
well, I was pretty happy to hear about Jerome Baker and Tyrell Dotson because
huge news.
That felt like the biggest, not even question mark, but just like concern going into training camp. I was a little worried about that, and I really want to see what that looks like, because they both came off of seasons with some really high upside.
That is going to be one of the first places my eyes go to today when we meet out there, Maura. I'm just like, all right, what do these linebackers look like? Because we didn't get a chance to see them at all during any of the offseason workouts. Texter 360, Mariners just need a brawl. Worked like a charm the last time, and they were in a similar slump. I said this to Scott 2 days ago. I did. I said that to Scott on Monday. Hey, man, when are you guys going to go out and fight? The last time, I've been here for 15 years, seen one fight. It's the only time you made the playoffs. And he said, well, I don't know if I can go after Wash the way we did. He's like, it's an old man over there. Like, I can't go fight Wash.
But can you just manufacture a brawl? Like, that came naturally last time.
You could have manufactured it as soon as Trey Cabbage started giving Julio the no-fly zone.
Yeah.
I'd have manufactured one the next day. Yeah, I could manufacture a brawl if I needed to. All right, quick break. Come back with Jeff Passan, who has very strong feelings about who and what the Mariners should go after at the trade deadline. You will hear it next on Brock and Salk.
With new leadership, the Seahawks are ready to get to work. Seattle Sports will be at Seahawks headquarters, taking you onto the field with the team. Interviews, analysis, and exclusive behind-the-scenes coverage as Gino and the Hawks get ready for the 2024 season.
Ball picked up. Witherspoon comes near side. He is in. Witherspoon with the interception for a touchdown.
Training camp coverage is presented by The Landing in Renton on your home for the Seahawks, Seattle Sports.
Hey, it's Mike Salk here, and I do like to brag about friends, and if you don't mind, I'll take a second to do that. Riverside Roofing just closed a huge roofing project on the east side, and I am proud, but not surprised, right? It speaks to the trust and reputation that Riverside Roofing has established here in this community with exceptional work and honesty and positive word of mouth. Riverside can handle any roof, any job. I've seen it. They did great work at my house, and they are also certified Tesla roof installer. So if you're going in that direction, make sure you go to riversideroofingllc.com and get a free quick quote on your roofing project. It won't even take you 60 seconds. Don't wait. Right now is the busy season for roofers, so you got to get on their schedule at Riverside Roofing. They serve all of Western Washington, family-owned, veterans discounts, referral bonuses, the whole works. Go to riversideroofingllc.com and see the roofing company you can trust.
I don't want to dig up my yard if I don't have to. That's why I hired O'Neill Plumbing. They're Seattle's trenchless plumbing pros. All rooter, all trenchless, always professional. O'Neill Plumbing. Since 1917.
Are you constantly dealing with a runny nose, nasal congestion, or stuffiness? Always having to clear your throat or coughing? I'm Dr. Ryan Stern with the Stern Sinus Center. Rhine Air is a simple, non-invasive procedure that can significantly reduce your symptoms. This long-lasting treatment is available here in my office. In a clinical study, 88% of Rhine Air patients experience a significant reduction in their symptoms. We're proud the Stern Sinus Center was recently named a nationwide center of excellence. Schedule your appointment in Auburn or Federal Way or go to sternsinus.com.
At Buc-ee's, we'll keep you ready for summertime. From factory maintenance, AC, brakes, tune-ups, to oil changes, wiper blades, and tire rotation. It's Buc-ee's Complete Auto Repair. Carefree summer driving. No appointment needed and financing's available. Check Buc-ee's.com for the Buc-ee's near you.
Hear that? The sound of water being poured on 800-degree rocks. If you were here in this sauna, you'd be so hot you wouldn't have the energy to move. But you're not here. Because your self-care happens out on the road, riding your motorcycle protected by Progressive. Besides, after a long ride, a helmet sweat is way more satisfying. So if you ride, switch to Progressive, America's #1 motorcycle insurer, without even breaking a sweat. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states.
Around here at Wrangler, we are all excited for spring. The longer days, the warmer nights. When you've got your pick of shorts and jeans, either works just fine. Because comfort keeps us going. So grab your family, your friends, and your Wrangler layers for some fresh air adventures together. Blue skies, open roads. Wrangler, for the ride of life.
Bonneville International radio station contests are open to participants 18 years of age or older that are residents of Washington State unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contests are not eligible to win unless the station otherwise specifies at its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 60 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available on seattlesports.com or in person at the station during regular business hours.
With new leadership, the Seahawks are ready to get to work. Training camp coverage is presented by The Landing in Renton on your home for the Seahawks, Seattle Sports.
This is Matt Coker from West Coast Men's Health. I'm proud to let you know that nationwide, our clinics have a 4.7 out of 5-star rating on Google. This tells you that our patients are really seeing results. Here's what some of them are saying. The results are close to phenomenal. On top of that, the staff and the scheduling are top-notch, and my technician is a consummate professional. Another patient said, I called numerous clinics, and West Coast was by far the best. The other places wouldn't give me any information over the phone, but West Coast answered all of my questions. My wife and I were skeptical, but we've already noticed the difference. This was a game changer for us. West Coast Men's Health has helped thousands of men reverse their ED using acoustic wave therapy. No pills or shots necessary. Give us a call today so we can help you too.
With clinics in Redmond and Tacoma, call 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
The biggest scuba sale in America starts Thursday at Underwater Sports in North Seattle. Clearance prices on masks, regulators, computers, fins, tanks, PCs, free photo and video seminars, free fitting, and incredible savings on a custom-fit dry suit. Learn to scuba dive. Big savings on beginner classes. Underwater Sports' 47th Annual Divers Fair starts this Thursday at the North Seattle Underwater Sports Store, 107th and Aurora Avenue North. Don't miss the biggest scuba sale in America.
You gotta love baseball season, but when it comes to your windows, you don't want any curveballs. Rick Riz here, reminding you to trust your clubhouse with locally owned Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington. Experience the difference with high-quality products, expert installation, and top-notch customer service. It's always a home run with Pella. Schedule a free consultation with Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington. Just go to PellaPNW.com. That's PellaPNW.com.
Brock and Salk's Rewind is presented by Toyota of Kirkland.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Brock and Salk.
Weekdays 6 to 10.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
That's a good text right here to start off with Jeff Passan, who joins us, of course. Matt in Oregon texting in, wait, Passan's on? How is it Friday already? That's a good question. Thank you, Matt, for texting in. Jeff, I feel like we just spoke, but here we are talking again today.
Yeah, all because of my dog, who's laying next to me right now. So she is imbuing this radio hit with spirit and mirth.
Oh, well, if she has spirit and mirth, then she probably wasn't in the Mariner clubhouse after the game last night, because it would have stood out like a sore thumb. There was not a lot of mirth. There was not a lot of spirit. Just a very, very disappointed dad, Scott Service. I don't know if you heard any of the sound, but listen to Scott when Shannon asked him about losing his patience.
You've shown a lot of patience with what you've seen. Why tonight?
Because I'm tired of watching it. Stand up for our guys, believe in them. Some nights, that's not Major League Baseball. We handed them a game.
What do you hear there?
I hear warranted frustration, and I hear a manager who is saying without saying that he feels like he has no answers and they need different players in there because the ones who are there right now are not working. And look, I think it's incumbent on Scott Service as the manager to get the absolute most that he can out of the roster that he is given. But nobody with the Mariners is doing their job well right now. Like, that goes manager, that goes players, that goes up to the people who assembled this offense. And I think everybody deserves at this point, frankly, to be called out for that, because blowing a 10-game lead and then after you have blown a 10-game lead, not rebounding from it, it's almost as bad on the back end as it is on the front end. And something needs to happen, and it needs to happen quick, because otherwise this season, where we have again and again, guys, discussed that when you have as good starting pitching as the Mariners do, it is incumbent to take advantage of that. They are on the precipice of blowing a year where they have a real chance, or had a real chance, I think, to do something special because of their pitching.
Yeah, I'm glad you circle back with that, because I would challenge your point there that all of them in the organization are not doing their job. Their pitching is. I mean, Logan leads the league in whip. George Kirby's top 10 in whip. Bryce Miller puts out his best performance of the season, 7 shutout innings yesterday. Wu comes back. You know, there's some consternation about why did he have Wu against the Astros and everything else, and he deals on Sunday. Like, the pitchers are doing their job, but that's about it, Jeff.
Yeah, that's perfectly fair. And I think there's just, when you think of the Mariners right now, this is how bad the offense has been. When you think of the Mariners right now, you think of a terrible offense, not an elite pitching staff. You have to be really bad offensively to overshadow what the pitching has done this season. And, I have a trade deadline preview up on ESPN.com right now. And I was looking because in my head, I wanted to say the Mariners have the best rotation in the American League. It's tough to say that anyone has been better than Philadelphia this year, so I didn't want to go all the way to Major League Baseball. But I just, I wanted to double check, and I looked, and by ERA, by FIP, by all the reasonable measures, this is the best rotation in the American League. And now you have a team that's flirting with 500. That's just unacceptable.
Are they still definitively buyers here at the deadline? Or, if you're 7 days away, if this slide continues and you end up 4 or 5 games behind Houston, does it change that equation?
Could it? Potentially. Should it? I don't think so. And I don't think so because of that pitching. I think I put it something like this in my story. It's the Mariners' duty at this point to add to this pitching staff, because if the offense is even average, you have a team that not only can win the American League West, guys, but a team that can go very deep into the playoffs. And so I would not let a bad offensive stretch, and by stretch I mean like 100 games, but I would not let a bad offensive stretch torpedo what still could be a very memorable season. And maybe listen, maybe I'm looking at this and looking past how much help they need offensively, because in an ideal world scenario, let's look at who would remain in the everyday lineup. Julio Rodriguez, when he's healthy, even though he has struggled, belongs in there. Cal Raleigh.
Jeff, I can help you quickly here. They have 2 guys who play every day who have above 100 OPS pluses. That's it. It's Julio and Cal. After that, you've got Rayleigh and Dylan Moore and a couple other guys who are part-time players. You got a couple other guys in the high 90s, but they literally have 2 everyday players who can play against both-handed people that are above 100, that are above average.
Not great, Bob.
No kidding.
You watch it every day.
Yeah, we do. It's and it hurts. And I snapped last night. Yeah, I snapped on our little text last night. Just got me, and it got the manager equally. You got your little computer pulled up right there, Jeffrey. You're so good on the 1s and 2s as you pull these things up. Pull up Mitch Garver and Mitch Haniger and help me understand in what world you could have projected this kind of outcome. I mean, I was looking at Garver's numbers last night, by comparison to just a year ago. And I don't know, is it a platoon
Garver,
thing?
You know what though? Garver had been sort of up and down, hot and cold year over year. You know, he wasn't the guy who was consistently putting up great numbers. He was someone who, when he was healthy and when he was playing regularly, did some things. But he was also someone who was prone to this. Mitch Haniger's another guy who, when he's healthy, when he's right, has been a good player. But, you know, both of them are a little bit older. And I think what's been most alarming about this team over the last few seasons, and you pointed this out in our text, Brock, they haven't done well bringing guys in the winter. They have not done well complementing the pieces that they've grown internally with outside bats. And the number of guys they've missed on, whether it's Colton Wong last year or the Mitches and Jorge Polanco this year, in theory, at the time, they were not unreasonable acquisitions. They weren't like top of the market by any means, but you know, when you're limited financially, there's only so much you can do, and when you want to hold on to this great starting pitching staff, there's only so much you can do. And I think you know, the argument that Mariners fans can reasonably make at this point is, should they have dealt one of their starters? You know, maybe you don't have 5 elite guys like they do right now, but 4 still pretty good. I understand, though, the instinct to want to have a rotation that you can roll out that can be that effective every single game of the season. And so more than sitting here and being like abjectly critical of that, I think it's fair to say it was a decision that was made, an understandable decision, but maybe not the right decision considering the deficiencies in other areas.
Do you think that there are jobs that are on the line right now?
If there aren't, there should be. And I think when you're talking about jobs, you're probably talking more like front office managing coaches. But I think Ty France illustrates that players' jobs are on the line. If you're going to fold when it gets hard, there is no place, and there shouldn't be a place. And it will be like one of the more fascinating things to me over the next week will be seeing how the Mariners reshape their roster, because I feel like that is what they need to do. And reshape is like, that's a hard thing to do on the fly. That is a hard thing to do when you have an eye on the future too, and recognize that you have a great farm system. And that's why, to me, the criticism that's levied at the Mariners front office for not putting together a representative offense is completely warranted. But this isn't like a lot of other organizations that are trying to win and doing so at the expense of their farm system. If the Mariners farm system was a tire fire right now, then I think, training the eye on that front office and saying, what you've done on the offensive side at the big league level is not good enough. And, we need to consider looking in another direction. But where they are with their farm system, where they are with pitching development, with the things that they have figured out how to do well, I don't see how you can do that. I just think that it's easy to get caught up in the right now and how bad it is. But when you look at the organization holistically, compared to the vast majority of their peers, the Mariners are actually in a pretty good place long term. And long term doesn't solve today, but when we're talking about jobs, long term is frankly the goal for every organization out there. It's setting yourself up so that in future years you have opportunities, and the Mariners have a lot of opportunity to make noise in future years it's just the noise that they're making right now is a whimper.
So the other thing Jerry said when he was on with us, and it's been pointed out in unfortunately bold-faced type the last few games, is that they still need bullpen help. For all of the conversations we've had about the bats, with a better bullpen, they actually win, 3 of the last 4 games they lost against the Angels that were blown late? What does we barely talked about it. What does the bullpen trade market look like here in the next week?
I mean, there are a lot of opportunities to go and get good relievers. It's probably, frankly, the one position that has guys who you're like, oh, okay, well, he's a guy. Tanner Scott with the Marlins. Yeah, he's a guy. It's mostly right-handed, though. Like that, Scott's the one big lefty out there, but right-handers, you can get Carlos Estevez from the Angels. You can get Pete Fairbanks or Jason Adam from the Rays. You can get Lucas Erceg from the A's. You can get Jimmy Garcia and Trevor Richards. The Nationals have Kyle Finnegan and Dylan Floro and Derek Law. If the Rangers move guys, which it's looking like a realistic possibility at this point, coming off a World Series win, it's Kirby Yates and Jose Leclerc. Like, there are options there bullpen-wise. And I don't know. If you're the Mariners right now, is that really where you focus your attention? Maybe so.
Well, I don't know if it's focus your attention, but you got to have some. I mean, Jeff, we were just thinking about it last night. Santos can only go every other day, and unfortunately, Stanek's turned into a pumpkin and looks hurt, and both gave up games 2 in a row, and you're wearing out Trent Thornton. I mean, your Matt Brash isn't going to show up. I mean, like, at some point, yes, hitting is still by far their most important thing, but I don't know how they could make it, even with a better hitting roster, to September and into October without adding somebody in their bullpen.
Yeah, I guess so. That just feels more like depth to me than it does a frontline guy, because the offensive need is so acute. I think that.
Okay.
I mean, the offense guys, the only teams that have scored fewer runs than the Mariners are the White Sox and the Marlins. The White Sox might be the worst team ever. Like, I'm not just saying like worst team ever. Like, no, they might actually have the worst record in baseball history by the end of this season. And the Marlins stink and are tanking. Those are the only 2 offenses that are worse than the Seattle Mariners. That is just, it's so damning. It really is. And it feels like, I don't know. When we're talking about the bullpen, it just feels like it's such a secondary. We have myself and my ESPN colleagues. We have a spreadsheet in order to share information that we're hearing and keep track of who's connected to whom. And we have a tab that has a list of needs. And we have 4 lists of needs. And right now, the Mariners, it says bat, bat, bat. There's not even a mention of relief pitching in there because the need for the bat is so patently, desperately obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff, is there a team you can think of? I'm trying to think of my history, and you say remake your offense on the fly 2/3 of the way into the season. What team has ever done that? I mean, like, I'm trying to think of the most impactful baseball trade deadlines that have changed the way teams function. I mean, I guess I was there in 2004. The Red Sox subtracted Nomar, and that ended up sort of being part of the reason that they ended up going to a World Series and winning it. And they remade some of the way they were built. Who has really remade the way they're built in the middle of a season?
He can't find that tab. He's looking.
I mean, does anyone come to mind? I can't think of anybody.
I'm trying to think through teams that have like fully overhauled and gone and won a championship.
Or even gone on to be good. You know what I mean? Like gone on to challenge significantly for a World Series. I just can't come up. It just doesn't happen very often. It's rare that anybody even would try to thread that needle. And to be fair, it's rare that there's a team that is as good on one side of the ball as the Mariners are and as bad on the other.
That's exactly, that's exactly where I was going to go with it. I think there might be an example that I can't think of. But I think the reason we don't have examples is because the two sides are so rarely this extremely polar opposites of effectiveness. Like you don't see in the playoff hunt typically teams like the Mariners that have offenses as bad as they do, because so infrequently do you see pitching that's as good as the Mariners is without something to go and complement it. And it's, you look at what the Phillies are right now, and you think if some of the moves that they had made had worked out, that's what Seattle could be, which is a wild thing to think about, because the Phillies, to me, are the best team in baseball. And I think there's a decent-sized gap between them and anyone else right now, because they have the starting pitching that the Mariners do. They have, not quite a bunch of Andres Munozes, but with Jeff Hoffman and Orion Kerkering and Matt Strahm and Jose Alvarado and Gregory Soto and Sir Anthony Dominguez, they have a bunch of guys who have either closed or have closer type stuff. And they have an offense that has, when it's healthy, Bryce Harper, Alec Boehm, Trey Turner, JT Realmuto, Bryson Stott, Nick Castellanos, Kyle Schwarber. It's an extremely well-constructed baseball team. Really, really good.
Final minute here, Jeffrey. We're going to talk to you next Tuesday, the day before the trade deadline. Sprinkle some Passan pixie dust on this lineup. Best case scenario, we chat with you next Tuesday or Wednesday. How many new Mariners are there?
At least two. I talked about Isaac Paredes last week, and I think he's a very good fit. And look, they have to be talking about Luis Robert now. Back when things were great a month ago, guys, I was like, well, he's a center fielder, and you already got a set. No, you need a bat. You need a bat who can impact the lineup, and I understand getting Paredes and Robert would cost a ton of prospect capital, and I don't foresee that happening. But I feel like you need at least one bat that you're going to add to the lineup where the answer is going to be Julio Rodriguez, Cal Raleigh, and you can fill in the blank. And if you can do that and get a Brett Rooker maybe, I'm not saying that the Mariners have necessarily warranted the way they've been playing, going out and spending as much prospect capital as they may have to get guys like that. But all of them are under multiple years of control. And that, to me, is the key at this point, because, honestly, I don't want to spend a whole lot on this team in terms of rentals right now. They haven't earned it. But for multi-year guys who are going to be part of this core and foundation, it's time.
Jeffrey, thank you. Appreciate it, as always. We will do it again on Tuesday, right before the trade deadline, and we'll look forward to talking to you then. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Keep your heads up, boys.
Yeah, well, a little harder to do after watching what transpired last night as well, which was somehow worse than the night before, just because of how pathetic and how unfocused it looked. There's a lot in there from Jeff, and it was funny because he said, hey, they don't deserve rentals, and it was something I had written down and circled during the interview earlier when he was talking about how things had changed at the deadline. I was like, things have changed. Not that they were ever likely going to go after a rental bat, but this team can't. There'd be no reason for this team to rent anything. There are reasons, and I was kind of going back and forth with Jason Churchill about this yesterday, for them to acquire multi-year players for sure. Even if you are of the belief, and I'm not saying I'm there, even if you believe that this team is toast, that they're done, that they've been caught and they would need so much, even if you believe all of that, there's no reason you wouldn't still go try to acquire a Vlad Guerrero, a Bo Bichette, a Paredes, Rooker. All those guys are signed from Robert. All those guys are here for at least one more year, in some cases more than that. Even if you believe this team is toast, they still have enough of a nucleus, enough of a core, enough of a pitching staff that they could be big-time contenders next year as well. That's the whole point of having I hate to say this, the 54% thing. That's the point, is that you challenge every year. So even when things go awry, you're right back at it the next season. So this should still be, under any circumstances, an acquisition phase. But how does the last couple of weeks affect the way you approach that acquisition? Well, it may affect it significantly. So what are you smiling about over there?
Oh, nothing.
Oh, are you laughing at Justin?
No, I was laughing because I was telling Justin that you had me make sure that we got out of Passan on time to be time at 7, and you're doing a long toss to break now.
All right, we're going to break, Maura. Sheesh. All right, I got to focus. I got to do what the Mariners couldn't do last night. Ignore the outside noise. Focus, go to break, come back with Brockets next on Seattle Sports on 710.
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
So I still go to Mariners Reddit a ton, and I find that in general, people are 50-50, with some people being like, why would you sell the farm to salvage this, and other people being like, how dare you look at this rotation and not build something.
They could come out tonight and look great and go on a run, and you feel differently about this team, but you're getting to that point where I don't think either side is really wrong at this point, where it's like, let's prep for next year, or just get a little bit of help. They might be able to do something.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Hey everyone, Jaden Schwartz for Techline Roofing. If your summer list includes 18 holes and a new roof, give Techline a call and we'll come out for a free inspection. Trust Techline. They shoot from the tips.
Paid political announcement. A Bob for Bob update. Public transparency is for other Bobs. Did you know Attorney General Bob Ferguson's office averaged 80 days to respond to public records requests? 78 days more than the average Washington government office. Can you afford that type of response from your governor as a Washington voter? You heard it here first. Bob wants you to vote Bob because he doesn't have time to respond to you. Paid for by the Bob for Bob Committee, 1283 Puyallup, Washington, 98371. Top 4 donors, Steve Gordon, Fremont Dock Company, Brian Haywood, and Susie Burke.
Transform your outdoor space with Synthetic Turf Northwest, the Northwest's leader in synthetic turf solutions for 28 years, serving Seattle, Tacoma, and Bellevue. Specializing in residential backyard golf greens, custom play areas, and pet-friendly systems, we create stunning, low-maintenance landscapes for every need. Our artificial grass systems offer unmatched durability and beauty, tailored to your lifestyle. Now through July 31st, beat the heat and save up to $1,000 off your project. SyntheticTurfNorthwest.com, 425-788-0718. Enhance your backyard with Synthetic Turf Northwest, where expertise meets excellence.
Are you a skilled plumber looking for a top-rated team? Join Ben's Plumbing, rated 5 stars for exceptional service. Enjoy great pay and benefits, a supportive team, and a non-commissioned plumbing career. Apply now at bens.plumbing. That's bens.plumbing.
Trucks, pickups, and more SUVs. You want a better selection of dependable new and pre-owned trucks? Well, you've got it when you visit Chevrolet Buick GMC of Puyallup or Chevrolet of Everett, part of the Harnish Auto family. You simply won't find a better experience when buying your next truck. Plus, enjoy oil changes and powertrain warranty for life on all new vehicles, taking care of you for over 4 decades. Check out the outstanding selection from the Harnish Auto family, Chevrolet of Everett and Chevrolet Buick GMC of Puyallup. A better experience.
Guys, did you know your testosterone affects everything in your system, including how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level can change your whole life. Most men start to see changes in their hormone levels in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Savings. Now that's speaking the Lowe's language. And when you join My Lowe's Rewards for free, the savings just keep coming. Save money with member-only offers, plus earn points when you shop. More points equal more rewards, just for you. Because Lowe's knows you earned it, literally. Learn more about our loyalty program at lowes.com/MyLowe'sRewards and become a member for free today. Program subject to terms and conditions. Points are awarded on eligible purchases. See Lowe's.com/terms for full details. Subject to change.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6759. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6759. That's 800-575-6759. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
This hour of the Brock and Salk Show is powered by Star Rentals, preferred supplier to the West's best contractors.
Get me a freaking auto! From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Brock and Salk on Seattle Sports.
Brock Heward and Matt Marcus. Sorry about just Mike.
Presented by Simply Seattle.
Heward, not exactly Joe Cap there in the pocket.
Now here are your hosts, Brock Heward and Mike Salk.
Brock, it was an ugly night last night at T-Mobile. I was there. I wanted to see the game in person. I wanted to watch. Heather and I went down. Beautiful night. Couple of friends. Thanks to Rob and Claudia for coming with us. And it was ugly. It was hideously ugly and really challenging in a lot of different ways. And I'd like to start here by talking about the unfortunate position that Scott Service is in. And, I mentioned this at 6. I kind of want to come right back to it to start because I have said many, many, many times how much respect I have for Scott. I think he's done an excellent job over the course of his tenure here in Seattle. And this is not a fire Scott Service rant. It is not. But it is a, wow, Scott's got his work cut out for him right now rant.
Yes, it is.
I have said many times, and I will stand by this, managers don't hit, managers don't pitch. They really don't. And a manager is not responsible for a team that doesn't hit, nor for a team that doesn't pitch particularly well. Those are not the fault of the manager of a baseball team. They can't make a team nor a player execute their job to hit or to pitch. But sloppy play, unfortunately, and ultimately does come back to the manager. Because sloppy play at that level is not about ability. It's not about execution even. It's about focus.
Yeah.
It is about your mind more than it is about your body. If a pitcher strikes you out, what are you going to do? You tried hard. The pitcher struck you out. If the guy gets a hit, what are you going to do? You tried to pitch well. You were focused on it. He beat you. That happens sometimes, and the manager can't control it. But that loss last night, it was hysterically bad. Because of the lack of focus. You could feel it in the stands. I'm sure you could feel it through the television. And it might be understandable, honestly, given the circumstances. You're 1 week away from the deadline, Brock. You just DFA'd one of the stalwarts in your clubhouse and in your lineup for the last 5 years. You put 2 of your leaders on the IL that day. You called up, 3-4 players in one day, all while the skipper's fuming, the fan base is booing. It is a lot for anyone to try to focus throughout all of that. And you can handle that for a night or two. Teams, even good ones, even focused teams, lose their focus for a game or two. But this mess is now up for both Scott and Jerry to try to fix. And it started at the front office, I believe that. The timing and the handling of the Ty France thing, whether it was done right or wrong, blew up in their face, just like the Graveman trade did, just like the Seawald trade did. Were any of those things, were those things bad moves? No. No, it made sense. I understand why they did the Graveman thing. I certainly understand why they did the Seawald thing. And I understand why they did the Ty France thing. And maybe there was no better way to handle any of those 3 situations, but all 3 of them, regardless of circumstances, seem to have blown up in their face in that clubhouse. Doesn't mean they were the wrong move, but they sure didn't work the way they wanted them to. So between the news getting out, the unfortunate timing of the injuries yesterday, and then the new first baseman not making 2 plays in the field last night, unfortunately, those things may be more on the front office than the manager, but guess whose job it is to make it work? Unfortunately, it is Scott's. He's got to go out and find a way to make this team focus. And yeah, the lineup that they threw out there last night was a joke. It's not a major league lineup.
Whoa, easy, okay? I mean, positive. They only struck out 6 times.
Which is remarkable.
It's about half of their average this season.
Unfortunately, the only run they scored was on a double play, which is, quite frankly, the lamest way to score anything. It's like tripping and falling into the end zone. I mean,
Salk, they struck out 6 times. That's an improvement. Salk, all 3 hits.
I don't care about those
all
things.
All 3 hits were by the call-ups.
This is why I'm going to tell you
all 3 hits were by the call-ups.
That strikeouts are not the most important thing. Congratulations. You made 24 outs that weren't strikeout. Whatever you said, 6 strikeouts? You made 21 outs that weren't strikeouts.
Yes.
How'd your offense look last
Not
night?
good.
No, it looked worse.
Not good.
Brock, it looked terrible.
You say focus. I'm going to use a different word.
Okay.
And I'm going to use a word that I think Scott and Pete both use. And I took a picture. I know you've muted me on Twitter during this political season, obviously.
I did see your Scott picture.
Did you see that pic?
Of course.
Because he was playing with his ring, and it reminded me of when a team loses the Stanley Cup, when a team loses the World Series, when a team loses in the College World Series. There's something about, especially hockey and baseball, where those guys stick around and watch. And, Scott didn't dash into the tunnel. Scott was at the top of the dugout on that final out. He had a look. He was listening to the boos rain down. He had a look on his face that I took a picture of and I tweeted, and he's fiddling with his wedding ring. And he knows exactly what you just said. His team is playing with no edge. I use edge over focus. And maybe it's semantics. Maybe they mean the exact same thing. But just being around this game, being around all team sports, being around all levels of leadership, like there's an edge, right? Pete last year, that team over the last couple seasons lost its edge. He felt it. He said it to us privately. Salk, like I'm not feeling like, I'm just not feeling this. I don't know what it is. He said publicly he needed Bobby Wagner, right? Early in the season to be the one to snap them out of a funk, to be the one, to be the voice that they could listen to and kind of reset. And yeah, right now you just feeling, a team that just isn't, they're just not playing with that edge. It's what he vented 2 days ago, right? Just that aggressive edge. You can't play this game not to lose.
I'm going to say you're right. They aren't playing with an edge, but I think you can play with focus and without edge. I think an edge is a higher level than focus. Focus is mandatory just to like play the game of baseball.
Yeah,
it's like golf. I was talking about
every
that
shot,
earlier.
Every pitch, every moment.
Exactly.
Can't think ahead, can't think past. Got to be
baseball is
in the
constant.
Present. Yes.
The moment you lose focus is the moment that ball's coming to you, and the moment you got a problem. The moment you don't communicate between the catcher and the first baseman near the dugout, that ball drops. The moment you, unfortunately, Logan Gilbert, throw the ball 4 feet over. Logan makes that play yesterday. It could be a double play, and it's a very different game.
The minute Rojas is in the base path because he's just standing there, right?
The minute you get a low throw from your third baseman, you got to dig it out. You cannot lose focus and play. Good teams have edge. Edge comes, I think, from confidence.
Great teams have edge.
Yeah, even
great teams have edge.
Even very good ones. Because it comes from confidence. They get confident. Now, to me, that's where edge comes from. You have a confidence that you are going to go out and succeed. You can walk with your head held high. But even if you don't have that, the very least you can do is focus. And I'm sure it's hard. Honestly, like, I get it. Good teams, even teams with edge, will occasionally lose focus. But you can't do it for very long. And it's now been a couple of games here in a row. And if you don't get it back real soon, and you could feel it, you could see it at the ballpark. Maybe I'm imagining it. Maybe I'm projecting it. But you could almost feel the new guys like, what in the world did I just step into?
Yeah.
What is happening here?
Yes.
No Julio, no JP. Julio saying I can't go. What's happening? Ty France is saying goodbye in the middle of a game. Like, and now I'm supposed to come up and deliver? I never even played at the big league level. You want me to come in and fix this offense? It's a bad combination. And you're right, Brock. Edge would be great. Edge is the goal. But until you have focus, you can't even get to edge because you got to do the basics before you can start to do all the other things that it takes to be really good in this game. Pitching staff has edge and focus. Everybody else on this team, it is wanting. And unfortunately for Scott, this is now the biggest challenge of his career.
Yeah.
And it's been a good career, but this is the biggest challenge he has ever faced.
Yep. Sure feels like it. You know, to lose this lead in historic fashion, this 10-game lead, right? In in all of baseball, to do so in less than 30 days, 25 days, a 10-game lead evaporate. Now, they're still tied for first. Houston's also gone down to the Bay Area, and right? So you are absolutely still tied for first place. And that, I think, is some of that thought. Like, okay, we're not 10 games out. The season is not over. We're nearing the sprint, and we are still in it, Salk. I mean, Mora was within breathing room of you. And then he popped the hammy.
Yeah.
And then, you know, and
I mean, actually, she wasn't within breathing room.
Well, she wasn't in breathing room. And then you popped the hammy. And
You
then she
finished
caught all
a
the way
second
up.
apart because you limped so.
No, but when I blew the hammy, you were not within
No,
breathing
I was
distance.
The Mariners have blown their hammy.
Yeah.
They've blown their proverbial hammy.
Well, then if they did, they're done. Let's hope that they didn't actually blow a hammy.
No, you finished. You finished. You hopped along and you finished.
I hopped. I collapsed. Hold on. You know what? Let's go break. Wait, look, Brock, you're distracting from the issue here. I was all upset. I had a good rant going about focus.
Then turn it back on you.
Now you're back on my stupid hamstring.
Turn it back on you.
We're going to give you guys everything you need to know. Jaren Reed joins us at 7:45. Brock and Salk, Seattle Sports on 710.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
Gino, he's a guy that I think is probably the biggest question mark on this team for a lot of people nationally.
You know, this guy's been through it, man. What a weird career Gino has had. You start off as a starter, and then all of a sudden you're in a backup situation. I think he was just kind of accepting his situation. Now you see how he is. He's very assertive, and like he wants to be somebody, and he's probably at that point, I'm just going to go out there and let it rip. I'm not playing with something to lose. I'm playing with something to gain.
Streaming on your smart speaker.
Hey, have you been searching for a local, trustworthy group of professionals to assist you with your mortgage needs? Brock Ewart here, and you can count on my friends at Tila Mortgage. We've seen a lot of mortgage companies come and go, but not Tila. They've been the go-to mortgage experts in Washington State for over 25 years. And if you're 62 or older and you want to learn more about these reverse mortgages you've heard me talk about, well, Tila can help you decide if that's the right choice for you and your family. If monthly payments are impacting your credit scores and just killing your monthly cash flow, well, once again, Tila can assist you in consolidating your debt with proven programs like a refinance loan or a home equity line of credit, that HELOC, enabling you to maintain your low fixed rate first mortgage, but gain some access to that equity in your home. And additionally, heck, if you're purchasing a new home, Tila can guide you through all the ins and outs of a home loan as well. Hundreds of 5-star reviews. Tila, spelled Tila, is a trusted source for honest and ethical mortgage advice. Give them a call today at 206-766-8888, 206-766-8888, or TilaMortgage.com. Tila Mortgage LLC is a mortgage broker at MLS 247-246. Hey, Brock Ewart here, along with IRG Physical and Hand Therapy President and CEO Shannon O'Kelly. Well, the seasons, they're changing. The guys are playing the sports outdoors. I know many are starting to maybe pull the lawnmower out and get back to the landscape and the outdoor work. I'm going to guess, Shannon, at IRG, maybe a little busier season?
Oh, absolutely, Brock. You know, we know when the seasons change, particularly when it gets warmer, people are in their houses pretty much all winter long with our cold weather, rain, et cetera, particularly here in the Puget Sound. And everybody's excited. They want to rush out and get going with their activity. I'm telling you, as a physical therapist for 35 years here, you need to prepare your body. So take time to warm up, increase some flexibility, do some stretches, because if you prepare your body and prevent injuries, those activities outside, particularly that exciting thing, mowing your lawn, is going to be healthier and it's going to be a lot more fun.
And you feel better. For more info or to book your appointment today, simply go to irgpt.com. It's all waiting for you right there at irgpt.com.
Hey everyone, Tom Nelson for Cressy Door. Since 1952, we've been installing garage doors for your home, building, or dealership. If you need Cressy Door service or a whole new set of doors, visit our friends at Cressy Door. Make your next garage door a Cressy Door.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online at hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation to determine the ED medication that's best for you. Discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and a range of treatment options, including trusted generic alternatives to the name brands, at up to 95% off. ED is personal, and at Hims, so is treating it. Just go to hims.com/joy and get connected to a licensed medical provider online for free, with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
RiversideRoofingLLC.com. Enter your address and receive a hassle-free quick quote on your roof replacement within seconds. Do it this summer and save time, money, and just get your project done. Go to RiversideRoofingLLC.com, the roofing company you can trust.
With new leadership, the Seahawks are ready to get to work. Training camp coverage is presented by The Landing in Renton on your home for the Seahawks, Seattle Sports.
Experience an unforgettable night of music as Gavin DeGraw and Colby Calais grace the stage at the Emerald Queen Casino Event Center, Friday, August 2nd. Gavin DeGraw's soulful voice and Colby Calais' Grammy-winning melodies. Tickets at emeraldqueen.com. Don't miss your chance to see Gavin DeGraw and Colby Calais live in concert August 2nd at the Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest. 21 and older. Need gambling help? Call 800-547-6133 or visit emeraldqueen.com.
Motorcycle riders, Bob Stelton here. I love this time of year. The weather's nice. I'm out on the bike as often as possible. And knock on wood, I've never been in an accident. But maybe you have. And if you have, you need to call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS. First of all, your case evaluation is completely free. They don't get paid until you get paid. And they should be the first call you make after a motorcycle accident. And I'll tell you why. Because they fight for you, the motorcycle rider, and your family to get you the compensation you deserve. With over 20 years of experience, they're going to handle your case with the respect and dignity you deserve. The insurance company wants to get away with paying out the lowest settlement they can as quickly as they can. With the Law Tigers, you don't have to handle your motorcycle case alone. So why should you hire Law Tigers after an accident? They can help you get your motorcycle and gear repaired or replaced. Law Tigers knows how important your motorcycle is to you, so after you've been in an accident, give them a call at 1-800-LAW-TIGERS. They will get you the help that you need. Again, that's 1-800-LAW-TIGERS or lawtigers.com. The Law Tigers, Washington's motorcycle lawyers, Mateer Law Firm, LLC.
The biggest scuba sale in America starts Thursday at Underwater Sports in North Seattle. Clearance prices on masks, regulators, computers, fins, tanks, BCs, free photo and video seminars, free fitting, and incredible savings on a custom-fit dry suit. Learn to scuba dive. Big savings on beginner classes. Underwater Sports' 47th Annual Divers Fair starts this Thursday at the North Seattle Underwater Sports Store, 107th and Aurora Avenue North. Don't miss the biggest scuba sale in America.
Need to know. Brought to you by Ben's Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. Up first.
Brutal night for the Mariners in essentially every way. The offense, some new faces, but mostly more of the same. Scored just one run, which did come on a double play, which is depressing. Honestly, an awful way to score a run. You don't even get an RBI for it. The pitching, typically good, except for one inning when it got away from Logan a little bit. The defense was the problem, and defense is about focus, and unfortunately, this play summed it all up.
The pitch to Neto shows bunt, lays it down on the first base side. Here comes the runner at third. Logan has it. High throw to the catcher. Gets on by Cal Raleigh. Scoring is Shanuel. Here comes Drury trying to score. The throw back to Gilbert. And Gilbert puts the tag on Drury at home plate. And the run is going to score. 2 runs are going to score.
It was a little confusing. There was interference on Rojas, who was unfortunately standing in the middle of the base path and got in the guy's way. And so both runs scored. It was...
cue the Three Stooges music, right?
When you see the ball start going back and forth like that, and that's the second time in a few games that you've seen it, that's not what you're looking for at all. Scott, not wild about what his team has done.
You know, how do you get through it? You don't try any harder. You know, you can't do anything more than square it up, but, you know, just not going our way right now. But we got to keep grinding. I keep saying that word, and that's what you do during these times. And you can't feel sorry for yourselves. We've talked a lot about that recently, about you got to keep pushing and keep leaning on each other, and, you know, we'll get out of it. As long as Polo keeps having those at-bats, Cal hits the ball well, like the new kids continue to contribute with good at-bats or getting on base, you know, we'll get out of it.
You ran a half marathon, right? You've never run a full marathon?
No, I've run 2 halves.
Heather's
not on the
a,
same day.
Of course not. Heather's run a bunch of them, right?
She's run some halves and 1 full.
Yeah. I could never do that. I couldn't run a half. I couldn't run a full. I think I ran a 5K, popped my calf 2.5 miles in, and just hopped along the finish line like you. Not built to be a long-distance runner, but I'm imagining there's folks listening to our show right now that have. And they would tell you, you know what you do at like mile 17? You grind. Because it's hard. Mile 20, I know Heather's ran the Boston Marathon, right? It's got the horrific hill. Like
no, she didn't do that. Let's not get carried away.
Well, I'm going to say she did, and just
nice
say yes. Crying out loud. Never let the facts get in the way of the story.
She ran New York. Let's not get carried away.
But you've got to grind and put one foot in front of the other. And honestly, as I watched Scott and watched him pretty closely through my television lens last night, and especially at the end of the game, that's what I felt. Like this is the toughest stretch.
Yeah.
They've been through valleys before, Salt. They've been through losing stretches. They've been under 500, but they weren't up 10 games in the division, right? They didn't have historic best in the league pitching. Like, they didn't have these foundational pieces in a time where it's in this division's giving you every opportunity.
It unfortunately
Houston's giving you every opportunity.
Lot, Brock, like Shane Lowry on Saturday and Sunday this past weekend, where he had that big lead. He was, 7 under at one point at the Open. The conditions got rough. He dropped 5, 6, 7 shots in one day. He was still in it.
Got smoking heaters.
He was in it,
yes.
But he didn't feel like he was in it because of what had just happened. I think that's pretty analogous to what we're seeing here. Astros lose, though. No change in the standings. Luis Castillo on the hill this afternoon.
Here's the second thing you need to know.
I'm going to try to rush through all these moving parts for the Mariners yesterday. Julio, JP Crawford, both on IL with a high ankle sprain for Julio, broken hand for JP. For Julio...
Fractured pinky.
All right, well, it was listed as broken hand. In any event, for Julio, I would think and hope this is just a 10-day stint and he can play through it after a little bit of rest. He explained where he's at.
I feel like it was a smart choice. You know, obviously I want to be on the field like today, but like, can I play today? Not. So I just feel like it's the best to give it a chance to somebody else that can contribute to the team right now in the meantime, and you know, continue to push forward and get this ankle better as soon as we can.
I'm going to give Julio the benefit of the doubt because he's Julio, but I don't like the words "I feel" in this case. I really don't. I don't think that's the way to talk about an injury and how you're playing or not playing. I feel like, I don't want to hear about how you feel.
Yeah.
Like, the doctor said I can't play. The doctor said this isn't going to help the team. And I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that that's what he means.
Yep.
But I don't think that's the way to describe it because it unfortunately comes across like, well, I just don't feel like I'd be able to do it. And that's not what I want to hear.
He is an amazing English speaker, right? It's bilingual. I think there's a little loss in translation.
I think that's probably the case.
He has a high ankle sprain, and any of us who have had a high ankle sprain, it sucks and it's painful and it's limiting. And if you're an offensive lineman, you shoot it up and you play on a Sunday. You're a center fielder. That's one of the fastest, most dynamic players in the game, and you've got to go run. Can't run.
You be a DH.
Can't run right now. Probably not even, I would think not right now. And when that happened, I said it to you yesterday or whatever before that MRI, like that looks like a high ankle sprain. You're not wearing a boot. It's not swollen. Doesn't have a melon on it. That is how you get something higher up the food chain, and it is debilitating.
Well, let's see how long that goes. JP, I think that could be a while. As you know, anything in the hand takes a while to heal, and then takes a while even after it heals. So we'll see does this change the way the trade deadline works? We'll talk about that coming up in about 5 minutes. Ty France officially designated for assignment, meaning no one claimed him off waivers. Big shock. Comes off the 40-man roster, and now they have 10 days to trade or release him. Up comes Tyler Locklear, Luis Rivas, and Cade Marlowe, who all make their return to the big leagues, and we got to see 2 of those 3 last night.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
Oh, yeah, it's also go time for Mike McDonald and the Seahawks, Brock. Their first full practice of training camp today. No pads, but yeah, they're out there. And
they're acclimating.
They're acclimating. It's very hard to acclimate. Well, you know who's going to be practicing for the first time as a Seahawk? Both of their linebackers who came off the PUP list yesterday. Honestly, the best news of the day in Seattle sports.
Yeah, super encouraging. I mean, that was really, if the Julio and JP to the IL was super discouraging, this was super encouraging. Now, does that mean they rush right back and we see them right out there right away? I don't know, but you clear your physical. You know, you get your legs back underneath you, make sure they're in good enough shape so you do not have any further setbacks with either of them. And that was, I'll hit on the Blue 80 a little bit more, but that was incredibly positive news.
All right, that is everything you need to know, quarter past every hour. You mentioned Blue 88. It's a little bit later today at 8 o'clock because Jaren Reed is going to join us from training camp at 7:45. So that's coming up in 20 minutes. Before we get to Mr. Reed, we are under a week, 6 days to go before the trade deadline, and still nothing has happened across all of Major League Baseball. Nobody has made a deal that you would consider to be a significant deadline deal yet. But what the Mariners have done and not done over the course of the last few days, last few weeks, I think does change your prognosis for this deadline in 5 key ways. We'll discuss them next on Brock and Salk.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
This is a team that's built on pitching.
Weekdays 2 to 7.
Pitchers are doing their job. This rotation almost every single night is doing their job, without exception. Yeah, there are hiccups here and there, but the only reason you're even in this position is because of your rotation. This is one of the upper echelon rotations in all of baseball. How long is it going to be together? I don't know, but it feels like a very small window for these 5 to be together.
Don't miss an hour of the show. Find the podcast at seattlesports.com.
Hey, I don't know if you're looking for something fun to do. You should be. And if so, Snoqualmie Casino is only 30 minutes from downtown, and they got a ton going on. If you like country music, Craig Morgan is coming August 22nd, and then Twitty and Lynn on September 26th. Great food before the show. Falls Buffet, always serving up your favorites like the prime rib and the fresh pasta, the stir fry, the noodles, the pizzas, the salad bar, the desserts, the whole deal. Or a little steak and seafood at Vista. They got a great happy hour menu that starts at 4 o'clock. It is all 30 minutes from downtown at Seattle's closest casino. Online at snocasino.com. It is Snoqualmie Casino.
Hey, Bob Stelton here, and have you heard that metal roofs are all the rage? A metal roof lasts longer, it's more eco-friendly, and is a great option for adding solar panels. Asset Roofing is leading the local push in metal roofing, and they can even offer metal roofs for up to 30% less than their competitors. You're either hiring a liability or you're hiring an asset. Head to assetroofingco.com.
Certified work is never in doubt. Asset Roofing, excellence is on the house.
Discover the ultimate diamond buying experience. Unparalleled quality at unbeatable prices.
Hi, I'm Diamond Dave of Cantor Diamond. At our by appointment office, you'll receive truly personalized one-on-one service to your needs.
No high overhead of standalone stores or mall hours to pay for. We're direct diamond importers designing and manufacturing in-house, eliminating all the middlemen.
Stop overpaying at retail and enjoy serious savings on quality diamonds.
From the first consult to the final reveal, we guide you through every step, ensuring you get your dream diamond ring, necklace, or earrings without compromise.
Romantic proposals, anniversary splurges, or just because. Indulge in diamonds for less.
Call today for your private appointment for a dazzling diamond.
Call Diamond Dave at 253-272-7007. That's 253-272-7007. Or follow them on Instagram at Cantor Diamond. That's at KANTOR Diamond.
Dan owed an unbelievable amount of money to the IRS.
I got behind on my taxes. It's a horrible feeling.
He was in denial.
And when I got those letters from the IRS, you wanted to act like they didn't exist.
Finally, Dan turned to Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima got me a settlement with the IRS. These people are really people-friendly. It was every bit of a new lease on life for me.
The fast action and the great results made Dan's head spin.
I felt like I was in a dream, but it's real, and I have paperwork to prove it. They got the job done, and life is good.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
If you're worried about what's going to happen with the IRS, stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
At Buc-ee's, we'll keep you ready for summertime. For over 50 years, Buc-ee's Complete Auto has been servicing and repairing cars and trucks with modern-day technology and good old-fashioned customer service. Buc-ee's is the largest independent family-owned chain in the Northwest. There's a Buc-ee's just about everywhere for factory maintenance, oil changes, wiper blades, air conditioning, brakes, tire rotation, tune-ups, everything you need to get you running smoothly this summer. No appointment necessary, and financing's available too. Check Buc-ee's.com for the location near you.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Watch your favorite show live at seattlesports.com.
Are you looking for a construction loan to build your dream home? Are you a local builder needing a better financing option for your next spec project? Hi, I'm Scott Rireka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital in Bellevue. Stop wasting time with local banks and credit unions and their endless guidelines. We're the experts for common sense residential construction loans. We lend our own money, we make our own decisions. And if your deal makes sense, we'll get it done fast with flexible terms. For homeowners, we advise you every step of the way with things like budget and timeline, ensuring the completion of your dream home. For builders, Legacy's not only your lender, we'll source your next deal, provide permitting services, and if you're short on equity, we'll invest alongside of you. Legacy Group Capital has lent more than $1 billion, helping over 130 local builders and hundreds of homeowners. We can help you.
Construction loans don't have to be hard. Borrow smart with a common sense construction loan from Legacy Group Capital. Visit LegacyG.com. LegacyG.com.
Hey, Brock Heward here, along with IRG Physical and Hand Therapy President and CEO Shannon O'Kelly. Now, Shannon, I need to ask you if what I've been hearing is true. You don't need a referral, really, to see a physical therapist in the state of Washington?
That's exactly right, Brock. The state of Washington is a state that has what's called direct access. That means that if you get up in the morning, for example, and you hurt your back or did something to your muscles or tendons or joints, you can call a physical therapist directly, and we can get you in that same day and start your care and your recovery process.
How can patients get scheduled with IRG?
Oh, it's easy. You just contact us at irgpt.com. We'll direct you to our concierge service, and we'll take care of all that for you. We handle all the authorization, verification. We want our patients to understand their insurance benefits and what the outcomes are going to be with their visit to IRG Physical and Hand Therapy.
Please, please, please don't let injuries keep you from your passion. Schedule online today at irgpt.com and start the journey back to your best self.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Brock and Salk.
Weekdays 6 to 10.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Seahawks start practice today. Jaren Reed joins us ahead of that, coming up in 15 minutes, and then a slightly later version of Blue 88. The Mariners have played really bad baseball for the last couple of weeks, and it's gotten exceptionally ugly the last few days out of the All-Star break and between the Astros series loss and losing two more to this terrible Angels team that they don't even have Mike Trout out. I mean, they're awful. Whatever. What does it mean? Let's get away from the frustration of it and put yourself upstairs in Jerry and, quite frankly, John Stanton's shoes here for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
What does this mean for the deadline that is now 6 days away? And for the last month or so, I mean, really for a while, we've been talking about the Mariners' needs, impact bat, contact bat, et cetera, et cetera. Well, how does this change the equation, if at all? And I did find myself going back and forth a little bit with our friend Jason Churchill last night, who thinks doesn't change anything. You just go. Fair point. I think that there is quite a bit of validity to what he's saying. I disagree, but not strongly. I think that there is there's a lot of ways this can go. I came up with 5 things connected to this. The first one for me is simple. We said it yesterday, Brock. No more rentals. I don't want to hear about a rental.
Yep.
This team has not, and they probably weren't going to do a rental anyway. That was probably already true. But for now, I don't want to hear anything about a rental bat for the Mariners because the team on the field this year has not shown me enough over the last couple of weeks specifically, and just where they're at in the standings and all that, that they need a rental bat.
I'd put a little asterisk. Okay, you keep saying bat. A rental reliever arm for 2 months for...
If you're not giving up anything,
Correct.
then fine. I mean, like when you don't give up anything, it doesn't matter. But I don't want to hear. I mean, I know that Alonso's not on the market anymore. But if he was, I would not want them to make a significant trade for Pete Alonso, given that he would only be here for 2 months.
Agreed.
I think that is a non-starter for this team right now. That's number one.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, and maybe this one's a question. Is middle infield now a bigger priority? I mean, we talked about Bo Bichette, and it's always like, well, all right, you could, Bichette for the rest of this year and next year, and then you move JP. All of a sudden, it becomes a bigger issue, certainly for right now.
Mm-hmm.
JP will probably return this year. Personally, gut feeling, just after all these, and you guys have heard me talk about hand injuries forever.
Mm-hmm.
He won't be good the rest of the year. That's my gut feeling. That this will now be a lost season for JP. There's only 2 months left. It takes a couple of weeks to recover from the finger injury, and it takes a few more weeks, maybe another 6, to actually be ready to play good baseball so that it doesn't hurt. Well, it's like almost 2 months.
Yeah, quick pause. Eugenio, very similar, right? Fracture of a finger. Eugenio did not miss 6 weeks, right? And
I didn't say he would miss 6 weeks.
Right.
I said he wouldn't be good.
I don't know
for
if
6 weeks.
Yeah, and I don't know. That feels a little lengthy to me. Again, there's some things I know, some things I don't know. I've had a hairline fracture on a finger, did it on a helmet in training camp. I've had a high ankle sprain. I've had these injuries. It's why I'm here, Salk. Okay, if you've ever wondered, like, how in the heck did Hewer get here? Look at this QB. No,
funny.
Because I'm the injury expert. I know there's like a Dr. Chow online or whatever, but I'm the injury expert when it comes to.
All right, hey, look, maybe I'm being pessimistic on that. I'll own it. But personal feeling, when I hear hands, wrists, fingers, thumbs, etc., maybe it's a pinky and it won't matter as much. That'd be great.
Okay.
But those
He's got 2 years and $20 million left on his deal after this year, right? They bought out some years.
Look, you don't have a second baseman next year. You're going to buy up. Polanco's got like a team option, so you're going to not exercise that.
Yep.
Could JP move to second? Yes, sure. Absolutely. Could Bichette play third? Sure, absolutely. There's a number of ways you could do it. Yes. I would think he becomes more of an option if they're willing to deal him, which I still don't.
By the way, he got a calf injury, so he's not even playing right now.
Well,
so if
great.
you're looking for somebody to actually come in and contribute, that might
he
be
might not be that guy.
Okay.
Third thing, is Luis Robert more in play right now? And I know that you feel strongly about this, Brock, but do you now need to think about a center fielder, given that Julio is going to miss some time and then move him to left field when all is said and done?
Mm-hmm. Jeff Passan said that yesterday, and it just kind of ring in my head. Again, just an absolute impact bat. We know how hard those are to find, to develop, to see. You feel it, you see it. If Santos is at a breath of fresh air and come to a much better organization than the dumpster fire that is Chicago. What did Jeff say yesterday? Not just the worst team in baseball, the way he said. Like,
right. Maybe the worst team of all time.
Of all time. And that's what this dude is trudging through. And, yeah, the numbers aren't great, and he swings a miss, and the on-base isn't great. But you know what it is a dynamic, difference-making, impactful bat that, again, is not $300 million that you're going to control for $50, $60 million for the next few years. Here's Passan.
They have to be talking about Luis Robert now. Back when things were great a month ago, guys, I was like, well, he's a center fielder, and you already got a set. No, you need a bat. You need a bat who can impact the lineup, and I understand getting Paredes and Robert would cost a ton of prospect capital, and I don't foresee that happening, but I feel like you need at least one bat that you're going to add to the lineup where the answer is going to be Julio Rodriguez, Cal Raleigh, and you can fill in the blank. And if you can do that and get a Brent Rooker maybe, I'm not saying that the Mariners have necessarily warranted the way they've been playing, going out and spending as much prospect capital as they may have to get guys like that. But all of them are under multiple years of control. And that, to me, is the key at this point, because, honestly, I don't want to spend a whole lot on this team in terms of rentals right now.
So I didn't get to episode 4 last night of Hard Knocks. It looks like it's going to be pretty darn good.
I can't wait.
But you saw episode 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is fairly analogous. It goes again across all different sports. Remember, they signed some of their different free agents, and this is a 1 year, $7 million, and this is 2 year, $5 million, and there's Drew Lock, and like they bring them through the door, and you look at them, and you're like, okay, there's guys. And then when Burns came in the door, you're like, okay, that's just a different.
that dude looks different.
He looks different. He feels different. That's
Right.
a different human being. Right? When Luis Robert steps in the box, like
different.
That's a different human being.
But Brock, let me ask you, if Luis Robert is in that lineup last night, does that game go any differently?
Yeah, he might hit a 2-run home run, and Logan Gilbert might have a lead to pitch ahead from, and not have to be absolutely perfect, and he might win 2-1.
Maybe.
Yeah, when he came in and everybody else was mowed down and shut down in that White Sox lineup, and he hits, 3 bombs in 3 days at T-Mobile? Like, yeah, he's the one dude that is just built and looks and feels different. So that's the one that when Passan said it yesterday,
Well, here,
I kind of hit right
between those big
there.
wide spaced eyes
Right
you like
there.
to talk about.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I see where you're coming from. It certainly makes it more intriguing. I would agree.
Because that's short term and that's long term. This thing goes off the rails. Guys don't come back. You know what? Fine. You go into next year and the next couple years with Cal and Julio and Luis Robert at 3, 4, and 5.
I got it, Brock. Sorry, I'm quoting something. We're not fighting. I promise. No, that's what I was about to say, to be honest with you. Sorry, Brock and I are making each other laugh today. That's my bad. Sorry about that, Brock. I'm
you
sorry.
got to laugh if you can't,
If you can't cry,
The other
you
side
might
is
as well
crying,
laugh.
and I'm not
At
doing
least-
that.
I was going to basically say, that's kind of my fourth point, which is any and every deal now has to be just as much about next year as this year.
Yep.
You have to be playing both sides of that at the same time. And they've always done that. But it's got to be, and I'm not saying you have to be a buyer/seller, but you do need to be thinking about next year even more than you already did. That's number 4. But 5 is where it starts getting a little bit tricky. And that is, if I'm Jerry, and I'm putting myself in, this is what I would want. Not what Jerry wants, what I would want. If I were Jerry DePoto, if I were in charge of this team, I would want to trade the farm because I'd be a little bit worried about my future. And I would know and think anyway, hey, if this team doesn't make the playoffs and we lost a 10-game lead and all of the guys I brought in the offseason failed, I got a significant job problem at the end of this year. And I would like to continue to be employed. So if I have to trade the farm, I'll trade the farm. Yeah, Luis Robert, Brent Rooker, whatever you need. Yeah, bring it all in. Lamont Wade, sure. I need to make sure this team, this one team, succeeds because next year's not going to be good enough for me. So if I'm Jerry DePoto, I would want to trade the farm. If I were John Stanton, if I were Jerry's boss, I don't know that I would be willing to allow you to trade the farm because I don't know that you're going to be the guy to be making the decisions forever. That's the unfortunate reality of where we're at. Now, again, that's me projecting. That is not how Jerry feels. That is not necessarily how John feels. It's how Mike Salk would feel if I were in those spots.
Oh, yes.
But I think that is a question right now. We asked Jeff yesterday, are jobs on the line?
If there aren't, there should be. And I think when you're talking about jobs, you're probably talking more like front office managing coaches. But I think Ty France illustrates that players' jobs are on the line. If you're going to fold when it gets hard, there is no place, and there shouldn't be a place.
And I don't know exactly what he means by fold, but I think this is a question that the person in charge needs to ask themselves about this team.
You got to know when to hold.
Come on now.
No way to hold 'em.
Is this a time to
Know
hold them,
when
to
to
fold
walk
them,
away.
or to go all in?
And know when to run.
Or score a run anyway.
Count your money.
Yeah.
So can I just add one? And Jaren Reed will hopefully be with us here any minute as they're getting going down there at training camp. Can I just say one little addendum to that or one little nugget to that maybe I wouldn't have thought 3, 5, 6, 10 years ago? How quickly did they replenish this farm system? They traded Luis Castillo. They gave away some, some blue chippers to get that one done. When Passan was saying, gosh, they've not done it for a bat. They did it for an arm. quickly did the 28th farm system turn into a top 5 farm system? Within 2 years? Within 2 years? Like that. You can do that.
Absolutely.
You know what else you can do? You can develop pitching. You can do that. You hang your hat on these things you know you can do. These things we know we can do. We've got a pretty darn good track record of that. So, trade the farm, you just replenish it in 2 years. It's like draft picks in the NFL.
But, Brock, are you sure that this is going to be the group that's going to have the opportunity to do that? This group has been able to do it twice. And that's why Dipoto deserves a ton of credit and why he's here. Twice he has replenished the farm system. Once when they did the rebuild, and a second time after they traded a lot of those guys or graduated those guys to the big leagues. He gets credit for that. That's why these things aren't simple. It's easy to say, oh, they're playing bad, fire somebody.
Yep.
Well, it's not quite as simple as that. Especially a president like Jerry, who his job is not just about the trades he makes, it's about the structures that he's developed.
That's right.
And when Passan says, hey, this is a smart organization, not a dumb one, that is a huge part of this equation.
In the process, this is a process-driven organization whose process
Those
is
things
spot
matter.
on, except this process.
The acquiring major league offensive talent process is broken and what appears to be beyond repair. So that's a huge what process led you to Polanco and Wong and Pollock and go all the way through the list. And is that the same process that leads you to Vlad or Bichette or Robert or whatever the case may be? You got to have some serious questions about that. It cuts both ways. These things aren't as simple as you want them to be. It's not, well, Jerry brought in 5 bad players, fire him. And it's not as simple as Jerry's drafted unbelievably well, keep him.
Yep.
You have to look at the holistic thing, and that's looking at process, it's looking at management of people, it's looking at future possibilities, it's execution, and it's results. And I don't know where Jerry and John, everybody else, is going to fall on those on those metrics, but I think that it does affect a little of what you're going to do at the deadline,
and it's impacting the product on the field. I mean, all of those things and all of those factors, right? I mean, it's simple enough to say they're pros. Just go be a pro. Go, come on, Bossler. You just got called up first at bat with the Marin. Like, come on, Marlowe. Come on. Like, just snap your fingers and let's go. They're humans, and they feel and sense all of these things as well.
For sure.
Yes.
And you could see it. I mean, you could feel it. You could see it in the way they played yesterday in the ballpark the last few days. There's a lot of oddity circling around this team right now, a lot of unknown. And yeah, it's hard for baseball players to focus in those kind of environments. But you got to be strong. Your manager needs to find a way to assert control. And that's the challenge that is right now currently facing John Stanton, Jerry Dipoto, Justin Hollander, and Scott Service, and all of the players on this team. All of them are being challenged right now to try to get this done. It's a difficult spot. And we'll probably come back to this a little bit later in the show. Maybe even ask you guys to jump in on the phones as we talk through it. Okay. Meanwhile, Brock, on the positive side of things, training camp starts today. Maura and I are going over there. Can't wait. First practice with the new head coach. And Jaren Reed, defensive tackle for these Seahawks, joining us right now. Good morning, Jaren. How are you?
Good morning. How you doing? I apologize if you hear the landscape. I'm out here leaf blowing.
Oh, you're doing the leaf blowing? Nice job. Get after that.
So that's what the more you can do. The longer you're in it, you realize the more you can do.
A landscaper.
That's a 9-year veteran talking right there, right? You just figure out how is year 9 versus year 1 for you? How's it different? Oh,
and now he's cutting down the trees.
Yeah. I'm chopping it down.
Did they wait to do that till you got on the phone? Jeez.
Hey, look, I'm a man of many trades, but yeah, year 9 is going good, man. I feel better than I ever felt before. I feel like I'm only getting younger as the years progress in this league.
Jaren, are you anticipating a little more physical camp than maybe you've had over there on the shores of Lake Washington with this new regime?
Absolutely. When I first got here, 2016, that was a pretty physical camp as well. It was very much old school until the league peppered us down a little bit. But now I feel like, Coach Mike is going to come in and ramp us back up a little bit, and I think it's be good change for us.
I'm impressed with your focus right now. We were just spending a while talking about the importance of focus, and your focus is top-notch, clearly, this morning, ready for camp, and all sorts of distractions going on around you there on the field. You've been a few other places, right, before coming back last year, but you have a ton of seniority and a lot of experience in this particular building. What does this new camp remind you of? If it's going to be different a little bit from what we all knew here under Pete, you got to see Green Bay, you got to see Kansas City. Do you have any sense as to what this might remind you of or how it might be different?
I think, it's going to be different from a lot of camps. I don't think every one of them's the same. But as far as, introducing, the joint practice, to this organization, I think it's going to be good for us because we get to go against other guys during the time of training camp. That just makes it more fun. You get to see, other different type of schemes, other different type of regimes and how guys practice. And you also get to, practice how in a game like speed, but it's also a practice. And that's good when you going into that and getting ready for the season because you kind of get to prepare your starters and everybody who's really not going to play as much as in preseason. You get to kind of prepare those guys for the season.
Jaren Reed here with us on the start of another year and journey here for the Seahawks. As you go home and you talk to your coaches, I don't know, at East Mississippi, at Hargrave, at Alabama, they all ask you, like, Jaren, tell me about this scheme. Everyone's talking about Mike McDonald, the new Sean McVay, the defense, and it's an interchangeable scheme. As you describe it to old coaches, other teammates, former players, how do you characterize this actual scheme?
It's a secret weapon to me. I don't really like to say too much because I want everybody just to see. Just being there is amazing. He's a smart coach, very football head. That's what you need, especially on the defensive side. And the coaches as well, the assistant coaches, the D-line coaches, everybody's very smart and they're very football savvy. And it's very, very interesting. It's very interesting.
Okay, without giving away trade secrets, can you just define that? Just give me an anecdote for maybe this spring or just a little story where you're like, dang, that is just some next level stuff right there.
Yes, when the offense can't move the ball with anything they do, and we can audible out of a defense, and without you knowing what we're doing, that's kind of what I'm on.
Gotcha.
So we could be playing one whole defense that you think we playing, then boom, it's a whole different type of defense, and you will never know.
How long do you want to play this game?
As long as I can. I'm not nowhere near done. I can tell you that. Like I said earlier, I feel really great, and I love the game so much, and I spend a lot of time working on my body to make sure I'm ready to go. And I got a lot left to give.
You gonna get your legs looking like the new rookie defensive tackle? What is up with that guy's legs?
Oh man, he's a big guy, right?
Well, he's not that tall. I mean, like I'm trying to. I saw him over, at one of the camps over the off season, and I gotta say, I've been watching football a long time. I can't really come up with anybody I've seen that looks like that. Maybe Aaron Donald a little bit, and I don't want to start making a comp between a rookie and Aaron Donald. That's not fair to anybody.
Yeah.
But that was the only body that and I've never really seen him up close. Obviously, you would have more than me. Who the heck else looks like that with his legs and his height?
The only person, probably A.J. Dillon when I was in Green Bay.
That's
good. Other than that, he was a running back. Yeah, those guys are big. Trust me, he big and strong. Compact, too. Like a cannon.
What do you think of this kid?
Oh, man, I think he's great. He listens. He works hard. He comes in shape. He's not scared of anything. I think he's ready for the moment that's about to be presented to him. And for a rookie, that's all you can ask to do. He listens. He doesn't say too much. And believe it or not, I think he takes control of the other rookies, too. And they follow his lead. And you can't coach that. I'm excited for him to see how this season's going to go, which I know is going to go well. And you guys going to see as it transpires, through camp and everything. I'm just excited for the world to see what Byron Murphy can do. I like the young kid a lot, man. I think he's going to be a staple in this league for a long time, and I think he's going to run this league, especially at his position.
Jaren, Big Cat, Byron, Channa, other pieces. Where can this front four rank in the NFL, in your opinion, Jaren?
Man, as long as we work hard and we stay humble and we respect the process and respect the grind, I think the ceiling is going to be very high for us. I think everybody's hungry. everybody works hard, and we all, we don't really have nothing to prove to nobody, but I think we all want to prove to ourselves and each other and everybody else that, we're not to be looked past.
I was asking Brock a bunch of rapid fire questions to try to predict what camp will be like who gets he's in the best shape of his life award and all that type of stuff that we hear every year. I'll ask you one though. Who do you think will be the talk of camp? Who will everybody notice and just not be able to stop talking about?
That's a great question. I think there could be a number of guys. It's so many guys right now, and it's just hard to pinpoint. I think for me, the conversation would be defense. If you had to ask me, period, just as a whole, this is not one person.
You got a Coach Dirday impression yet, or anybody got a good one yet?
I mess with him all day long. He always see the process. He said, "You got to rush a center." I've been working on my accent. I asked him during OTAs, I said, "Would you like some butter chocolates?" That's pretty good, right?
That's pretty good. Yeah. I mean, it's not every day you go from the Southern accent straight to the British accent.
I told you I'm a man of many trades. I told you that.
Yeah, I mean, if this football thing doesn't work out, maybe you're going to be a character actor or something on SNL when it's all said and done. Anyway.
Somebody get me on. What's the show I had? The Grey's Anatomy.
Grey's Anatomy? That's what you want to be on?
I think I'll be funny to somebody, right?
I mean, that show's been on the air for 30 years or something
exactly.
now.
So add 31 on. Put me on it.
All right. Well, Jaren, you sound like you're ready. You're focused. You're dealing with the leaf blowers. You're ready to handle Olu and whatever the centers and guards throw at you in practice here over the next few weeks. That'll make my last quick question, because he's a guy that I focused on a lot. Can you give me a quick scouting report on Olu? Is he a guy who can be the starting center for this team?
Oh, absolutely. I don't have no doubt in my mind. He's very smart. He plays with great leverage. He got great hands, and he's pretty strong, to be honest. He's not weak. So I think he'll be good. That's all the attributes you need. He gives me Jason Kelce vibes when you play against him. And I'm not saying he's there yet, but time can grow. The more he plays, the more he gets settled in and get comfortable. I think that's the type of comparison that he'll be getting soon.
Who do you hate the most, centers, guards, or tackles?
I think guards, because these guards are getting bigger and bigger. Mm-hmm. Boys big. Mm-hmm. Okay, they all get tall and big, and they're athletic.
Jaren, enjoy the process.
Seriously. Yeah. And thank you for joining us. First guest to camp. This always used to be either KJ or Cliff, right? Yeah. They always used to be the first guest to camp. It's like a veteran honor, I think, to be the Brock and Salk first guest of camp. So thank you, Jaren. We appreciate it. Have a great season, and we'll see you out there.
All right, thank you.
There you go. Jaren Reed joining us. He's always been a very good interview.
So good.
Remember that time he was telling us about the helicopter, and his story is a good one. It is of where he was at kind of before getting to Alabama and kind of how it worked out for him. I have to go back to some of that. And its story has some twists and turns, and not all of them are positive. Certainly what happened here before he was released the first time. So I don't mean to overlook any of that. But certainly an interesting interview, and you get a little look in.
32 in December, dude still got juice.
Yeah.
You sense it and feel it right there. Let's go. And especially with what's around him. And that's some little powerful commentary that usually saw those walruses, that D-line I talk about. I may have to change that, because I don't think there's a lot of walruses in this crew. And usually, especially a Jaren, you could talk to G about this. He doesn't just throw accolades around and hyperbole around.
He could run this league, he said about Byron Murphy.
He's the one that the rest of the rookies all look to.
Let me come back to something. Take a quick break. We're going to do a late version of Blue 88. We'll do it next. I want to ask you about some of this, what we just heard from Jaren Reed. It's coming up. Don't go anywhere. Training camp starts today. It's all brought to you by our friends at Renton Landing. It's Brock and Salk, Seattle Sports on 710.
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
Mariners broadcaster Dave Sims.
This is the window for this ball club of that pitching, which continues to be just fabulous. Everybody I talk to, managers, coaches, they're going, hey, dude, we do not want to face you guys in a 3-game series. No freaking way. Well, it all comes down to you got to get there. This team is sort of made for those type of playoff runs, but to get there, you're going to have to do some bashing and scoring and creating opportunities and cashing them in.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Roof now, pay later. Hi, I'm Sam Thomason, owner of State Roofing.
Take advantage of our 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for up to a year. We've partnered with leading lenders to make the replacement or repair of your roof affordable. Flexible financing options are available to take the worry out of an unexpected expense. Call us today at 866-ROOF-ROOF to schedule a free no-obligation estimate or visit us at stateroofing.com. That's stateroofing.com.
State Roofing, the best roof you'll ever need.
If your home has air conditioning, congratulations, because it looks like this summer is going to be a scorcher. But to make sure your AC system is working at its best, Deere Services is offering an inspection and tune-up with a no-breakdown guarantee and no service fee for just $49, a $129 value. Assure yourself of a comfortable, cool summer. Visit DEARservices.net, make an appointment, and we'll be there within 3 hours or give you a $100 credit. Deere Services, there when you need us most.
High five. Up top. Heck yeah.
Dave's company just got the first ever 5-year price lock guarantee from Comcast Business.
Yeah, 5 years.
It's 5 years of gig speed internet.
High five for gig speed.
5 years of advanced security.
Security win.
And 5 years of a great rate that won't change.
Our rate ain't changing.
All from the company with 99.9% network reliability.
There it is.
He hasn't given this many high fives since Deborah brought in her famous banana bread.
Woohoo!
Now he's got savings.
I'm so excited.
Yep, Dave's feeling it. But it's only for a limited time, so don't wait. Switch today and ask how to get the first ever 5-year price lock guarantee from Comcast Business. Powering 5 years of savings. Powering possibilities. Comcast Business.
And it's hurting, but I am not stopping.
Woo! Ends 8/21/24. Guaranteed rate applies to monthly service charge for new customers on qualifying internet bundle, excluding taxes and fees. Other restrictions apply.
Have you considered surgery or even joint replacement? Hey, it's Dave Wyman, and before you make that decision, see Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. Why? Because he gives it to you straight. Dr. Wagner said my right knee needs replacement, and I appreciate his honesty and expertise. My left knee is fine right now, but the minute it isn't, I'm heading to Dr. Wagner for his expert opinion. I want to avoid another surgery, and I've heard so many patients rave about results from their 90-minute outpatient stem cell procedure with Dr. Wagner. He's a board-certified Seattle physician with over 30 years of experience and has performed more than 20,000 stem cell procedures, using a person's own stem cells to regenerate cartilage in their own joints. People with severe osteoarthritis, even bone on bone, are back doing what they enjoy without pain and without surgery. Whether it's a shoulder, hip, elbow, ankle, wrist, or knee, before choosing surgery, see Dr. Mark Wagner first. Go to drmarkwagnermd.com.
Kick off summer by checking out the incredible showroom at Toyota of Kirkland. With a wide selection of Camrys on the lot, including the brand new 2025 hybrid Camry, along with the new inventory of Tundras and Tacomas. All with a lifetime powertrain warranty, you're in for a summer to remember. The unbeatable team at Toyota of Kirkland will set up your test drive, and you can take that car home the same day. Get your summer groove on at Toyota of Kirkland or visit online at toyotaofkirkland.com.
Chill or grill on a new deck this season. Get a free Makita Bluetooth radio or portable pellet grill with a qualifying PAR deck package purchase. But hurry, offer ends soon. Visit par.com for details. PAR, your total home building source. Go where the builders go.
Breaking ball struck him out. That's a dozen for George Kirby.
A Mariners game is the perfect place to spend a Seattle summer day. You can kick back with some Moto Pizza, take in the views of Elliott Bay, enjoy a local brew, and soak up the sun. It's like going to the beach, only better, because you don't have to pack a big cooler, you can't get stung by a jellyfish, and there's no sand to get in your shoes or anywhere else. Plus, the beach usually doesn't have JP, Cal, or Julio.
Fair ball, base hit. Julio hits third base. He's racing home. He's saved. Cal Raleigh delivers.
Pass me that sunscreen. Let's go. Mariners baseball. Tridents up.
The Mariners have a great slate of marquee matchups all summer long at T-Mobile Park. Check out what's on deck in August, including interleague weekend series against the Phillies, Mets, and Giants. Plus, don't miss out on Mariners value games, featuring tickets as low as $10 against the Tigers and Rays. Go to mariners.com to lock in your seats and check out the complete schedule.
LASIK and ICL at King LASIK are two incredible solutions to great vision. Hey, it's Dr. King. After more than 250,000 procedures, you can trust our team to know your best option.
Schedule a Zoom consult now and save $1,000 on LASIK. KingLASIK.com.
Let's go! This This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Give me a freaking auto!
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Brock and Salk on Seattle Sports.
I don't read the internet, guys.
Take the bull by the hands.
Styled by Simply Seattle.
And Brooke Ewart. And Brooke Ewart.
Now here are your hosts, Brock Ewart and Mike Salk.
206 says, yeah, just going to talk through an interview while leaf blowing. That's an all-timer. That's what I do with my mother-in-law. What were the odds that they would start the leaf blower right in that spot the moment the only few minutes we would be talking to
I was
folks
having flashbacks to our buddy moving the heifers over there in Yakima. The red and black
I
Angus.
don't know. I think I would handle the heifers.
I mean, what are
over
the odds
leaf blower.
that there's a 3-point competition going on behind us the entire time we're at spring training?
And, yeah, specifically while interviewing Julio. Like, yeah, hey, by all means, let's have a three. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, they did put the hoop there. It was really the only place to have a 3-point competition. The leaf blower, there's a really, really big field out there. There's 3 football fields together. You couldn't have gone to any other part of the field during those 5 minutes?
I mean, maybe he actually was leaf blowing.
Jaren?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'm gonna go ahead and say no.
Actually, no.
Maybe if he was a Bengal, like I've heard they asked some of the players to contribute to some of the landscaping around that building. Cheap organization that they are. I've never heard that about the Seahawks though. Sorry. All right, because we had Jaren Reed, we've got a late version of Blue 88.
This is Brock and Salk's Blue 88.
Blue 88! Blue 88!
We take you to the field as Brock Ewart breaks down 3 football questions as only he can.
Now here's your hosts, Brock Ewart and Mike Salk.
All right, the best news yesterday, Brock, is that the Seahawks' 2 big linebackers that they brought in this offseason both passed their physicals, came off the PUP list. What does it mean?
I love that you still don't know their names. I really, all these intriguing players, and I love that because
Baker and Dodson.
Oh, there we go. Good. Okay, good job.
Just don't ask me about their first name.
Yeah, what does it mean when you hear Jaren Reed, and I totally appreciate him not giving away state secrets, but when you hear him talk, Salk, about some of the complexities of this defense, right? The higher level, the audibly, making it look like one thing. The offense doesn't know. Like, okay, you know what that takes? Moore's favorite word, communication. Takes a lot of it. And a lot of nonverbal communication and time on task and working together. Now, these 2 are not rookies like Tyrese Knight, whose head is spinning and is going to continue to spin as they continue to add and add and add to this playbook and get ready for preseason and regular season games. These guys' head not going to spin. They've both been in enough places and played in enough schemes, Salk, that they can assimilate and will assimilate quickly. But to be on the field, doing it with that front, really, really important and great. And you cannot undersell the great news that they passed their physical. Now, does that mean today, right away? Don't know that. Still a little bit to be determined as far as how quickly all the reps ramp up. But that is awesome. Awesome that they passed their physical and be ready to go.
All right, question number 2. Maybe this could have been a rapid fire yesterday, but who could be the most, let's call it, pleasant surprise of training camp?
Yeah, I was looking at just the entire roster, trying to look at all 90 guys. We've talked about a ton of them, a lot, Salk. One guy we've not mentioned, and some of it's a hamstring that he, or I think it was a hamstring that he had in the OTA season, and they were very guarded with, is their tight end out of Michigan, A.J. Barner. 6'6", saw him in Indiana a bunch of times, saw him at Michigan, and we know this, right? We've watched enough training camps that, look at Will Dissly putting on the show. Oh, look at Parkinson. Oh, look at Noah. We know that tight ends can be difference makers, and my goodness, the guys at UW were pretty darn good for Ryan Grubb. He knew not only how to move those receivers around, he did the same with Devin Culp. He did the same with Jack Westover, who was also there. And I'm kind of anxious to see compete at this level. But A.J. Barner should be a guy that passed physical, hit the ground running, did not talk a lot about that 4th-round pick, but he's got some upside. And I bet you a day or 2 we will hear his name mentioned here at training camp.
All right, question number 3. I know you're starting your college football prep because you're only, when's your first game?
Dude, I got 2 games again the opening weekend. I just got my first 2, yes.
Who you got?
I got North Carolina, Mac Brown, at Minnesota on Thursday night on Big Fox to start the season, and then go to Nebraska. So a Thursday, Saturday.
Cool. Well, your favorite spot, too. I know how much you love going to Nebraska.
I do. Get to see their 5-star Rayola, yes.
So, what have you seen so far? What's the prep look like? What's jumped out?
I'm glad you asked me question number 3 because it's the number 3, Salk. I get this nice big book it's awesome, that our stats guys and info guys at Fox put together for us. Here, I'll hold it up for you. It's a big old binder, like 90 pages, breakdowns on every team, storylines. Do you know how many returning starters the University of Washington has? It is by far the fewest in the Big Ten. How many returning out of 22 do they have returning?
3.
3. Got it. Question 3 and number 3, and you were paying attention. You had an edge. You had a focus to you, Salk, that I don't normally see in Blue 88, but you were on it. You took the breadcrumbs. So I'm kind of comparing that, right? Like the next lowest, or actually the highest is Iowa at 17. You have 3. The ACC, Duke, they have the fewest returning at 7. Wow. In the Big 12, Houston has the fewest returning at 7. And you got Jed Fish got just 3. Them and Oregon State in the Pac-2. Oregon State's got 3 guys, 3 starters returning as well. It is, get that roster out. Going to be a lot of new names and numbers over there on Montlake.
All right, that is today's Blue 88. By the way, are they actually going to call it the Pac-2? I know they're playing games with, the Mountain West, right? Mm-hmm. But are they going to call it the Pac-2?
That's a Bumpus question. That's a better CW.
Hey, how about
question.
Bump, though? That's great news, huh?
Awesome.
Really cool. Bump does a really good job, by the way, on that stuff. I think he's awesome at it.
Yep.
And, he's going to be one of the 3 teams, right, calling games on the CW.
I'm going to say they will call it because they had a Pac-2 Media Day, which was actually just a cocktail party in Vegas, which is awesome. I kind of appreciate that.
Like 6 people there?
They do kind of have a quasi-commissioner. So I'm going to say, they are going to continue to call it the Pac-2.
I hope they do. I think it's hysterical. Like, it kind of shows a little bit of defiance.
Sure.
Right? I mean, in another year or 2, I'm sure they'll find their way into another conference.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the defiance of, we're the Pac-2. Shut up.
That's right.
I kind of like that.
Yep.
Yeah, we're playing with the Mountain West, but we're the Pac-2.
Of course you do.
I like the defiance level of it. All right, good stuff. Thank you. Good Blue 88 today, Brock. We're going to talk some more football in about 20 minutes with Dan Graziano, who will join us from ESPN. I got some Sean McVay commentary on Mike McDonald that you're definitely going to want to hear. And my wife pulled an all-timer yesterday, which I'll tell you about. It's all coming up in and around Need to Know, which is next on Brock and Salk.
Double weight vest.
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
So I still go to Mariners Reddit a ton, and I find that in general, people are 50-50, with some people being like, why would you sell the farm to salvage this, and other people being like, how dare you look at this rotation and not build something.
They could come out tonight and look great and go on a run, and you feel differently about this team, but you're getting to that point where I don't think either side is really wrong at this point, whether it's like, let's prep for next year, or just get a little bit of help, they might be able to do something.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
I'll take that line from you, Bump. Are you getting to that point where you're just like, I don't know what to do with my insurance? I hate looking at my premiums going up. I don't know what's covered. It's complicated. It's confusing. I don't want to mess around with it. Then you need to reach out to my teammate at First Mark Insurance. We heard so many First Mark Challenge victories, Molly and I, that saved people so much money. We decided to take this challenge too. And boy, am I glad we did. I only wished we would have done it earlier. It has saved us thousands on our premiums, and we know what's covered. Here's how First Mark goes to work for you, your teammate. They fully analyze your current coverage, making sure you're not overpaying for the wrong coverage. And then, well, unlike you and me, they go to the market. Dozens of major carriers they've worked with for decades to find you and your family the best fit. That's it. There's no stress. There's no confusion. They're your teammate. And they spent the last 30 years helping thousands of families, including mine, successfully manage this world of insurance. So please don't wait a morning longer. Take the First Mark Challenge. It's totally free, and you might be the next First Mark Challenge victory I get to talk to. In fact, today, this afternoon, I get to call a few more of my friends over there and hear their victory story. You can be the next one. Just go to firstmarkinsurance.com. First Mark Insurance, your teammate that goes to work for you.
Are you putting off your new kitchen plans? Why wait? Hi, Chad Cicchini, owner of Heritage Homecraft. Call today and ask about our trade-in sale. Years of experience, thousands of happy customers. Heritage Homecraft, 425-485-1600 or heritagehomecraft.com.
paid for by government. Did you hear? A secret hoard of 1904 $20 Gold Liberty coins have been found. These gorgeous 1904p gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck, and less than 500 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling this secret U.S. gold coin discovery a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and you can own a piece of the hoard. When you call, you are guaranteed a 1904 Gold Liberty struck at the iconic Philadelphia Mint. With limited availability, you must call now. These 1904 dated gold coins are still in uncirculated condition with brilliant luster. That is 120 years of history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-895-7664. Call now and you'll receive a free bonus, a $75 value free with every order. Call 1-800-895-7664 now to secure your 1904p $20 Gold Liberty coins before they sell out. That's 1-800-895-7664.
RiversideRoofingLLC.com. Enter your address and receive a hassle-free quick quote on your roof replacement within seconds. Do it this summer and save time, money, and just get your project done. Go to RiversideRoofingLLC.com, the roofing company you can trust.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you're always looking for ways to position your operation to create opportunities and move on them faster. With Bank of America, you get access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2024 Bank of America N.A.
Headed outdoors or on the water this weekend? Check in with Joey and Nellie on the Outdoor Line from 6 to 8 a.m. every Saturday on SeattleSports.com.
Scotland comes to the Pacific Northwest during the weekend of July 27th and 28th with the 77th Annual Pacific Northwest Scottish Highland Games and Clan Gathering at the Expo Center in Enumclaw. Competitive, colorful pipe bands and drummers from Washington, Oregon, and British Columbia will be featured alongside field events, some to include the popular caber toss and hammer throw. Traditional Scottish foods and gathering tents are also part of this festive weekend. For more information, go to www.sshga.org.
The biggest scuba sale in America starts Thursday at Underwater Sports in North Seattle. Clearance prices on masks, regulators, computers, fins, tanks, BCs, free photo and video seminars, free fitting, and incredible savings on a custom-fit dry suit. Learn to scuba dive. Big savings on beginner classes. Underwater Sports 47th Annual Divers Fair starts this Thursday at the North Seattle Underwater Sports Store, 107th and Aurora Avenue North. Don't miss the biggest scuba sale in America.
This is a paid political announcement. A Bob for Bob update. Under 12 years of Bob Ferguson as Attorney General and Chief Prosecutor, we in Washington have seen a lot of increases. This, of course, includes a 26% increase in violent crime, 58% increase in homicides, and Washington ranking 4th in the country in stolen vehicles in 2023, behind California, Texas, and Florida. Oh, and according to the FBI, Washington was the 8th most dangerous state between 2020 and 2022. Don't ask for help if you drive a Hyundai or a Kia that's been stolen. What has AG Bob Ferguson done? Bob's been busy planning his governor's campaign and keeping Washington last in the country in law enforcement officers per citizen. As the leader of the Bob for Bob committee, I encourage you to vote Bob if you want more of these crippling policies for Washington, so Bob gets what he's always wanted, governor. Paid for by the Bob for Bob Committee, 1283 Puyallup, Washington, 98371. Top 4 donors, Steve Gordon, Fremont Dock Company, Brian Haywood, and Susie Burke.
Need to know. Brought to you by Ben's Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. Up first.
Brutal game for the Mariners yesterday, Brock. I was there. It is one of those where you watch it, and it is difficult not to have a visceral reaction to what you're seeing. It was very, very ugly. Logan, the error, the bats, quiet once again. It was a tough one to watch. I'm not going to lie. It was bad.
We stink, man.
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
Valbuena. Give him back. You know what? Give him back to the Mets, man. Somebody said he should be in Columbus tonight. I said, send him to Mahoning Valley. He can't do any harm there. They haven't even started their season.
It goes on from there. Well, thank you, Bruce Drennan, back in the day in Cleveland. But it sure feels that way right now with the Mariners as they are finding ways to lose. They have only won one game here since the All-Star break, and it feels like it's starting to spiral.
You said feels a whole bunch right there. And they had a shot in the dugout at the end of that game, and you could feel his pain.
Mm-hmm.
Say what you want, and it's a position that is going to get praise. It's a position that's going to get criticism, but that dude's a tough sucker. He's an old linebacker, an old fullback. You know, he's run into a lot of dark places. He's dealt with some valleys. Salk, I think maybe we have a conversation. Like, this might be one of the toughest valleys that he's got to climb out of yet as a Mariners manager.
Because his teams have never played sloppy. They've never had focus issues. And when you see what we're seeing right now, that is very concerning and sets up a very difficult spot for Scott to try to dig their way out of. But as bad as it was, the Astros lose, so no change in the standings. Luis Castillo trying to salvage a win in the series today, this afternoon, a little matinee baseball to finish it up. Yeah, it is funny. You've got to separate out how it feels from how it is. And that is the role of everybody on that team, from the front office on down through each of those players.
Here's the second thing you need to know.
Meantime, half the players are different than they were just a couple of days ago. All kinds of roster moves yesterday. Julio to the IL. He lands there with a high ankle sprain. It's not easy for him, that's for sure.
I mean, I was born to play baseball. You know, like, I cannot watch it real well, and I just love playing the game. But at the same time, like, doesn't mean that has to be frustrating. You know, like, this is just kind of the next thing that I got to tackle with, and that I got to, like, that is a challenge in front of me. So I'm gonna overcome it and be back to be who I am, and that's it.
It's a debilitating injury, man. It's painful. It was encouraging that he was not in a walking boot. It was encouraging that there was not a massive amount of swelling. Remember Russell, when he did his ankle, he had like a grapefruit literally like on his ankle. This is a different animal, right? Back in the day, they almost used to call this a lower broken leg, like depending on how drastic that high ankle sprain was. But it's debilitating enough that he can't function, that he can't run, he can't move, and because of it, he's on the IL, Salk, and we're going to have to see, not just for J.P. Crawford, who also goes on the IL, we're going to see a lot of these new faces. They're going to get their opportunity. I thought it was telling, right? Coming off of the night before where Scott lost his top and invented, you didn't see your veterans in that lineup last night.
No Haniger, no Garver.
You didn't see a 33-year-old Garver. You didn't see a 33-year-old Haniger. You didn't maybe see the people you expected in those other guys' absence.
Pretty rare, though, for a team battling for first place to be starting a lineup that looked a lot like what you'd see in September for a team that was 30 games out.
Yeah.
Like, hey, let's bring up all the kids and let them all play at once. Man, that is not something we're accustomed to seeing for teams that are right in the middle of contending. Yes, Ty France officially DFA'd, so he's done. Tyler Locklear, Luis Rivas, Cade Marlowe all called up to the big leagues yesterday. Rivas the only one not to play. Locklear, though, had a hit. Marlowe had a hit. Also grounded into that double play, like the one big spot in the game where you had an opportunity to get this going. We'll see what comes next for these Mariners.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
Oh, and the Seahawks are starting their practice today. Thanks to Jaren Reed for joining us earlier. And if you missed that, go back and listen later at seattlesports.com or download the app, and you can listen to it there. A lot of questions, not as many answers yet, right? What is this defense going to look like? Is it going to look like that Ravens D that got to the quarterback and made stars out of the players that had underperformed before Mike McDonald arrived there? Can Ryan Grubb take his college offense and turn it into something and adapt it into the NFL? Can he and Geno take full advantage of those receivers that have so much talent? Can you follow a legend like Pete Carroll, whose fingerprints are all over that building in this franchise? We're not going to get answers today, but we'll start.
Yep. And you heard Jaren Reed talk about it, and you're kind of reminded that, oh, that's right. Back in the day when Jaren got there in 16, it was pretty physical. It was really, really competitive. There was a Sherman and a Baldwin and a Bennett, and the O-line, D-line drills were volatile and bombastic and loud and physical. And then, as Jaren said, all of a sudden that NFLPA decided to start filming stuff and looking at tapes and started finding and taking away draft picks, and all of a sudden it wasn't quite that same vibe. Intensity's going to be ratcheted up. Maybe not day one where they're acclimating, they're not in full pads. There will be more hitting. There will be more full pads. There will be joint practices. And the level of ferocity, that intensity meter is going to be, that dial is going to be turned
about
up.
Those joint practices, which I thought was pretty cool. Meanwhile, Sean McVay on the Athletic podcast had a lot to say about Mike Macdonald.
You know what? I love it as a competitor, but the respect that I have for McDonald, I'm like, damn.
I don't think he's looking forward to having him in the division. Play some more of that sound here in about 20 minutes. That is everything you need to know. Quarter past every hour here in the Brock and Salk Show. Dan Graziano is going to join us. We'll chat Seahawks football, NFL football here in just a couple of minutes. I did say, so yesterday I was telling you the story about Heather wearing her
Army vest,
her SWAT team vest for us to walk around Green Lake.
Yes.
Like she was getting ready to
Did that get back to her? Did
well, I mean,
someone
yeah.
Oh, you told her?
Yeah, I told her.
Or she was listening? Or
That definitely wasn't happening, no. And I was like, yeah, Heather, I was saying how you look like you were ready to like crash through a window like an FBI SWAT team. She was like, oh, it's kind of true. So yesterday, I got a text from Heather. And she's like, hey, I think Gertie's got a tick on her. I'm like, okay, well, I'm playing golf. There's not much I can do about this. She's like, yeah, don't worry about it. I called the vet. I think they gave us the wrong. Instead of giving us flea and tick medicine, they only gave us flea medicine. And so I'll bring her over. They said they would take it off. I'm like, all right, fine, no big deal.
Nice.
So she goes over right before we went to the game last night. She like left the house, comes back. As before she's driving back, I get a text. It was sap. She took the dog to the vet because she had some sap on her.
Yeah. Interesting.
I'm like, Heather, I don't even really know what to say.
I mean, is that like a helicopter mom, a little overly protective?
Well, it's definitely somebody who is a hypochondriac herself, who is like now, sort of projecting that onto the dog.
Munchausen's by proxy.
Yes, it's Munchausen's by proxy. She's putting ticks onto the dog in order to, take her to the vet and get attention. I don't know. What do you think the vet says when they realize you've brought your dog in because it says sap on it?
Yeah.
Like, yes, ma'am, we've taken out the sponge and we've fixed your dog.
Probably the same thing the electrician says when they come over and they just kind of flip the switch.
That's bad.
Yeah.
They probably still charge you $100.
The vet did not.
Wow.
Really?
Now, maybe because we're about to spend $1,000 with them today for her to get fixed. But we got to make a little extra trip over there last night for to remove the sap. You got to take that off the fur whenever you get it there. Thanks, Heather. Appreciate that one. Dan Graziano next on the eve, or not even the eve, the day the training camp begins. Stick around. It's next on Brock and Salk.
Get the national perspective on the Mariners with Jeff Passan, Tuesday mornings at 8:30.
The Mariners are in the middle of a window where they need to take action because you cannot let this pitching go to waste.
And John Morosi, Thursdays at 5 p.m.
At the trade deadline, for this team, with all the strong pitching they've got, they simply need to acquire some bats who don't strike out as often. That's it.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Mariners.
Hey, it's Mike Salk here, and I know you got big plans throughout this summer, but you don't want any of them to be limited by how you look or how you feel, right? That's why I went on Eastside Weight Loss Clinic. I lost 35 pounds. The results were awesome, and I just couldn't be happier with how my life and energy improved. You can have the same thing. I want that for you. Eastside Weight Loss Clinic can help, and they're looking for 710 listeners this summer. Here's the ask. Just schedule a 15-minute, no-obligation consult at eastsideweightlossclinic.com for safe, healthy, sustainable weight loss without pills or injections or surgery. You're eating real food. You buy it at the grocery store. You'll lose weight. You look and feel your very best. That can be yours this summer. The secret? Call Eastside Weight Loss Clinic at 425-588-0080 or go to eastsideweightlossclinic.com. That's eastsideweightlossclinic.com. Dr. Ryan Coogan, D.C. Results may vary.
I'm here with my friend Mark Clymer from Wayscar Ford, Isuzu in Auburn. Mark, is now the best time to buy a new car?
Well, it absolutely is right now because we have our factory invoice sale going on right now, which means you're going to pay what we pay. And this is on all our 24 model vehicles, basically, everything except for Raptors. So we're talking F-150s, Rangers, Mavericks, F-250s, Explorers, Escapes, Expeditions. You name it, these are brand new 2024 models. They also come with our lifetime powertrain coverage and 5 days or 500-mile, 100% money-back guarantee, so you can shop with total confidence. There's no negotiating, nothing. You pay what we pay. We're overstocked right now, and we need to make room. We have a lot more vehicles coming in. So, yeah, you're right. If you've been putting it off and you're looking to get a new Ford, for a limited time, we're having our factory invoice sale. You pay what we pay.
Take the hassle out of car shopping. You know you're getting a great deal at Wayscar Ford, Isuzu in Auburn. WayscarFord.com.
Homeowners, Bob Stelton here. Now, I'm sure you've seen metal roofs on commercial properties, but did you know they're an option for your home? Ever since speaking with Anthony at Asset Roofing about their metal roofs, I've been seeing them everywhere. And maybe because Asset Roofing is installing a ton of metal roofs this season. A metal roof lasts longer, is more eco-friendly, and is a great option for adding solar panels. Asset Roofing is leading the local push in metal roofing, and they can even offer metal roofs for up to 30% less than their competitors. Asset Roofing cuts each metal panel in-house, which speeds up the production process and saves customers money. If you're redoing your roof this year, get a quote from Asset Roofing on a metal roof. I recommend Asset Roofing because they're honest, do amazing work, and prioritize safety within their work culture. You're either hiring a liability or you're hiring an asset. Head to AssetRoofingCo.com. That's AssetRoofingCo.com.
Certified work that's never in doubt. Asset Roofing, excellence is on the house.
When you buy tires at Les Schwab, you're getting more than just tires. You're getting America's best tire warranty, 60-day satisfaction guarantee, no hassle road hazard protection, and free maintenance for the life of your tires. Other places make you pay extra for that, but at Les Schwab, it's included with every set of tires because more warranty means less worry, and nobody stands by their tires like Les Schwab. Get more from less. Book your appointment at leschwab.com. Terms and conditions apply. See leschwab.com for details.
With new leadership, the Seahawks are ready to get to work. Training camp coverage is presented by The Landing in Renton on your home for the Seahawks, Seattle Sports.
Hey golf fans, Dan Wilson here, inviting you to join me at the 2024 Boeing Classic. See Masters champions and Golf Hall of Famers live at the club at Snoqualmie Ridge from August 9th through 11th. It's your chance to experience the only PGA Tour champion stop in the Pacific Northwest and see golf's biggest stars. Grab the whole family and come on down to join the action. It's a golf experience you won't want to miss. The Boeing Classic at the club at Snoqualmie Ridge from August 9th through the 11th. For $20 tickets, visit BoeingClassic.com.
Summer's here and it's time for you to put yourself in the game. But you don't have to do it alone. Come visit the incredible showroom and the all-star team at Toyota of Kirkland. With a large selection of over 70 brand new Tundras and Tacomas on the lot, you'll be able to test drive one and take it home the same day. And don't forget about that lifetime powertrain warranty. Now that's how you become the MVP. Come in today or visit online at toyotaofkirkland.com. toyotaofkirkland.com.
O'Brien. High five. Up top. Heck yeah!
Dave's company just got the first ever 5-year price lock guarantee from Comcast Business.
Yeah, 5 years!
It's 5 years of gig speed internet.
High five for gig speed.
5 years of advanced security.
Security win.
And 5 years of a great rate that won't change.
Our rate ain't changing.
All from the company with 99.9% network reliability.
There it is.
He hasn't given this many high fives since Deborah brought in her famous banana bread.
Woohoo!
Now he's got savings.
I'm so excited.
Yep. Dave's feeling it, but it's only for a limited time, so don't wait. Switch today and ask how to get the first ever 5-year price lock guarantee from Comcast Business. Powering 5 years of savings, powering possibilities. Comcast Business.
And it's hurting, but I am not stopping. Woo!
Ends 8/21/24. Guaranteed rate applies to monthly service charge for new customers on qualifying internet bundle, excluding taxes and fees. Other restrictions apply.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Brock and Salk.
Weekdays 6 to 10.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Now that's a good point. Thank you, 253 Salk. Maybe you should suggest to Heather that she use her readers the next time she's trying to diagnose the dog's condition. or use my readers. That's the problem, is she keeps stealing mine and pretending that she can see just fine.
I was going to say that, but that was too rude. I wanted the text toy to come up.
No, really? Well, they
own.
did.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah
Salk, you're either brave or foolish to call out your wife here on a regional radio show. Well,
back-to-back days.
She doesn't listen.
I mean,
She
back-to-back
doesn't know.
days.
She has no idea.
She didn't have
what I say.
girlfriends that it gets back
They
to
don't
her
listen either. None of them
Really?
listen. Who would listen? None of Heather's friends listen to this show. Most of my friends don't listen to this show. They get enough of me. They don't need more of me.
So it's
here in
just
the
all
mornings.
my family and friends
Yeah.
and all these girlfriends and stuff.
I think I've told you most of my friends don't like sports, I would say. Not like they don't like them, but not enough to listen to us. That's for sure. Dan Graziano, ESPN, joining us now as training camp starts in just a couple of hours. The first Seahawks practice of this season, the first under Coach Mike McDonald. And Dan, how are you? Good morning. Happy start to football season to you.
I'm good, thanks. I appreciate it, guys. I'm very sorry not to be going to Seahawks camp this year. It's one of the highlights of the camp tour, but I won't be making it out west this year. So you'll have to enjoy those views and those lake breezes without me.
That's a miss on your part. You gotta throw some
I
seniority
know,
around.
I'm well aware. Yeah, I mean, you just can't do the same teams every year. So I'm out in this sweaty, humid, Rust Belt Midwest tour this year.
That's
Yeah,
not
what
the
are you gonna
same.
do?
Well, and especially after you said that new coach here in Seattle is one of your most intriguing characters in the NFL this year. Why is he so intriguing?
Well, I think, you had the youngest coach in the league for 8 years or whatever with Sean McVay, and now you have somebody new. So I think you have to take notice of that, right? And wonder how he's going to do. I think there are multiple impacts potentially. Like I'm with the Ravens the last couple of days. I'm curious to see what impact his departure has on them, right? So, I think can he revive the once proud sort of Seattle defense and keep them a contender right away? Like what's he got? And if he does succeed, does that mean teams might start leaning more toward defensive coaches than they have been in recent years?
Dan, Salty and I were talking the other day about trying to evaluate Mike McDonald, the head coach, beyond just wins and losses, right? And what does a head coach look like? What does a head coach feel like? What are some things from afar as you'll be watching these Seahawks and kind of judging Mike? How will you gauge whether he's a success or not?
Well, I think there it's wins and losses, right? But I also think it's buy-in, right? Because when McVay went to the Rams at age 30, it's like, well, we know he's a smart offensive mind, but what kind of leader is he? And now that he's in charge of the whole building, then, what does he look like? And right away, it was obvious with McVay that everyone bought into the culture and that he was more than just, a great young play caller. So we start seeing those signs from Mike McDonald, which I think we have every reason to believe, that we might, based on everything everybody thinks about him, then I think you have the right to be very encouraged.
Have you heard anything yet from Baltimore? I know you said you've been spending some time there, and I don't know where they're at in their training camp schedule, but have you heard any or expect to hear anything specific about how they miss and what they miss from Mike McDonald?
Well, they have a guy here in Baltimore, Zach Orr, who you may remember from his playing days. He had to retire early because of health issues. But he's been on their staff now for the last 8 years, all except for one. He went to Jacksonville for 1 year with Urban Meyer, a year that everyone in the league is trying to forget. So they really feel like they've groomed his replacement. And obviously Mike had a hand in doing that. So I think they feel like they can keep it going. They understand it's a legitimate question just because of how dominant they were and how proven effective Mike's scheme has been. Heck, it just won a national college championship for Michigan. So I think I do think they understand that they're excited about Zach Orr as the replacement, but obviously there are some questions to answer about, like the Ravens don't spend a ton on their pass rush, right? But they get pass rush. And was that scheme related? And if it was, are they able to maintain it without Mike calling the plays on that side of the ball? Zach's a first-time play caller. So there's those kinds of questions. Obviously, they knew they had a great one, and because of the success he had, they knew they wouldn't have him for long.
McDonald turned 37 in June last month. D'Amico Ryans turns 40 next week. Compare and contrast D'Amico Ryans, because he's a guy that I look to, Dan, and say, if D'Amico can do it as a young guy in his 30s last year and a first-time head coach, McDonald can do the same. How would you compare and contrast those two?
Got to think they're different because of the backgrounds, right? D'Amico was a high-level NFL star player, whereas Mike was not. So I think, Mike has come up as a coach. D'Amico could bring something, and I'm not saying this is good or bad, just the difference, right? D'Amico could bring something about his experience as a player that I'm sure resonated with guys. There are plenty of successful coaches that don't have that, but I do think it probably was helpful for D'Amico right away. So I think McDonald, I understand will be, I guess, probably calling the defense. Does D'Amico do that in Houston? I think he probably does. So then how much, does the offensive coordinator choice end up mattering? They have a star in Houston and Bobby Slowick, and we'll see, in Seattle whether the guy jumps in right away and has that kind of success.
Well, I think
you said you're in the rest belt.
Sounds like Baltimore.
Yeah, it sounds like you're. Are you okay? Phone down? Do you need to put the phone down? Arresta, are we okay?
I'm good, guys. I'm good. There's something going on that is not related to me. The sirens that you heard, I think.
That's good to hear.
I'm just kind of breezing by. Outside of Baltimore, Owings Mills, very suburban, very sort of industrial park kind of place. So heading over to the facility here in a few.
What do you make of the Seahawks roster? I mean, for all the talk about McDonald being the new thing and all of the question marks around him, what do you make of the roster kind of beyond him? Yeah, things are rough in Baltimore, apparently.
Look what we did.
What do you mean, look what we did? How did we do this? Oh,
Come on.
There we go. There we got him back. There we go. There we go.
I'm going to say it was on your end and just stick with that.
All right, that sounds fine. Yeah.
Quarterback's been really good. Geno Smith's been a really good player for them. They have a ton at wide receiver. Like even as guys get older, they draft new guys and replace them. So I think I have reason to be excited about that group. I think the offensive skill position group in Seattle looks really good. Do they have enough on the line? I think that's a question a lot of teams deal with. And then on defense, another big change. What will is it a kind of situation in Seattle where the new coordinator, in this case, I'm talking about McDonald, but he's going to coordinate the defense, right? Mm-hmm. Is he going to take the year to assess who on the roster fits what he wants to do and then possibly, make some personnel changes as a result? Or does he have the personnel he needs and can he, build the defense around that, which I think is what most of the really good coaches do. So, obviously they have high-level talent on the back end especially, and, we'll see how it all comes together with under new management there. So, I'm fascinated. I think Seattle's a fascinating team. I really do. I think it is, a team that we're used to seeing as a contender. And I think if they're not, then, they feel like something's gone wrong there. And that's why all of a sudden you see like Pete Carroll's not the coach anymore after so long and all that success. So, they're in a division with maybe the best team in the NFC, even the 49ers. Certainly they've earned the right to be called that based on what they did last year. The Rams, I think, are going to be really good. I don't think there's any reason to doubt that after what we saw from them last year. So Seattle's got its work cut out for it. But, what do they got? I think he's fascinating. I think Mike McDonald, and is he going to have high-level success as a head coach in the NFL, is a fascinating story for a number of reasons. And I think, is he the next star? Is he the defensive McVay? I'm fascinated. I would have liked to go see them in camp this year.
Well, you need to go read exactly what Dan said because he wrote that. Is McDonald was one of his 10 most interesting characters in the NFL this year. Last thing for me here, Dan, you mentioned the Rams and the 49ers. Is there any flaw to these 49ers down there? Is there any way where Mike McDonald, with that roster you just talked about, is inching a little bit closer to, well, it sure sounds like a roster that may be number one in the NFL?
The 49ers deserve to be the clear favorites in the division if everyone's healthy. They have had years in the recent past where everyone wasn't, and that's a concern. They have some age on the roster. Is the Brandon Ayuk thing going to be a problem, or are they going to be able to manage it? I think there are some things that would have to go wrong for San Francisco to kind of slide back toward the Rams and the Seahawks. But, you know, if that were to happen, which it does, right? There's always a team that's not as good as we thought it was going to be, and there's always a team that's a lot better than we thought it was going to be. But if it does, I think, you know, the Seahawks are certainly positioned. I mean, they didn't miss the playoffs by more than, a game last year. So they're certainly in position to take advantage if that happens.
Dan Graziano.
By the way, guys,
yeah.
I think Arizona's sneaky. Like I think Arizona's going to score points. Their offense was really good when Kyler came back last year. I don't know if they have enough on defense, but I don't think they're going to be an easy team to play this year. Maybe I'm wrong.
Kyler just has his accuracy always just makes it impossible for me to believe in them. And I got to give the coach credit. I thought he was going to be a joke last year, and they seemed to buy in, even though everyone else was making fun of getting on the bus and pew pew and all the other sort of silly things he said. They played hard. They played fairly smart. But I don't know how you overcome a quarterback who, at his core, is inaccurate and makes a bunch of bad decisions.
Yeah, it's been done, but, you know, the guy I'm thinking of was a lot bigger than Kyler, and he played in Carolina.
True. That's a good point. He was a moose too. All right, Dan, appreciate it. Great stuff. Enjoy Baltimore and the rest of the Rust Belt. We will we'll enjoy the dry, beautiful views without you, but maybe next year.
Man. All right. Definitely.
There you go. There's Dan Graziano from ESPN, and he did say that Mike McDonald was among his most intriguing characters in the league this year.
Yeah, a couple things come to mind there. Number one, it's not just the breeze on the lake; it's also the great food. I mean, the Seahawks take care of the media when they come in, and we watch, Dave Pearson and NASA and those guys really especially when the national guys come in.
They shower them with love.
They just love on them.
The
they
national
care for them.
Oh, Peter King is here. I'm going to spend the whole day with them.
Chris, do you need your own golf cart, Chris?
What can we do for you? How can we help you? Yes. What can we do to make your life easier while you're here?
Just
do you need access? Do you need food?
Day one, Salt, they did it for us. They put Jaren, who was tremendous with us last hour. He was awesome. They gave, NASA's there at 4:30 this morning.
How long is practice today? An hour and a half?
Don't know.
I want 85 minutes with Dave Pearson today. I want to be wined and dined and treated like royalty, just like those national guys.
Okay, so he said something else in there that just sparked something that I had not thought about, honestly, until he brought it up. And Salk, I was drafted kind of like Byron Murphy in this, actually a lot more like Christian Haynes, right? 3rd round. I was drafted into a new regime. Mike Holmgren had come from Green Bay. He had come to Seattle, and a little different because he was president, he was GM, he was head coach, he was grand poobah, he was the big show, he was everything, right? So a little different scenario here versus John and the front office staying in place and just bringing a whole new coaching staff. So different in that regard. But Graziano was making the mention there of McDonald, like, is this an evaluative year? When I was in year one, Salk, you know what that roster was? Cortez, Sam Adams, Joey Galloway, House Ballard, Michael Sinclair. It was an old roster. Dennis Erickson had built it for a bunch of years. They were right around 500. They weren't terrible. They just couldn't take that step. And they bring, obviously, Holmgren in. In year one, you could feel it. It was all evaluation. It was like a September major league team calling guys up.
Different from Pete's first year either, right? When they were going through all of the transactions.
450 transactions, and they're bringing all these people in. Now, that was a little different because they just were transactional from the jump.
Yeah, but it's the same ideas. They brought a lot of people in to evaluate them. I think they just didn't love what they saw in terms of some of the evaluations.
So this is where it spins, and it's really key. And this is where it comes back to what you have watched and thoroughly enjoyed, and any football fan should watch, and that's Hard Knocks with the Giants. This comes back now to January and February and into March, where the coaches didn't go to the combine, where they spent that time really watching, talking, communicating, getting on the same page, not isolated, not in a silo, not, hey, go watch this and come back to me. It was all group talk. It was group meetings.
And there was specifically one of those scenes, and I think it's the 2nd episode of Hard Knocks, where they bring in a new defensive coordinator.
That's right.
By the way, there's something about him that is very off-putting.
Yes, he's got a Vrabel kind of, Yeah, kind of a
he
weird
seems
vibe.
very off-putting.
Yes, yes.
I mean, maybe he's just not right for the show. I'm not going to say he's going to be a bad coordinator, but he is a very off-putting character
and
on
when
that show.
Dable, and again,
but
it's edited.
But I love when they sit down and they're
Yes.
like, okay, tell us what you need. Well, I need linebackers who can do this and run. I think it's great. I thought that was really cool. Scott Pioli was on yesterday with Bump and Stacy. Good interview. A guy who was a 5-time executive of the year with the Patriots and then went to the Chiefs, etc. Here was Scott Pioli on what it's going to be like and what's important about McDonald's first year.
I think people just need to be patient and not overreact to when there are bumps in the road and when things are going to struggle. Because again, you've got a first-time head coach as well. There's going to be 3 people working in roles for the first time in the NFL. That doesn't mean that they can't be successful, but I believe that patience is a very important thing. And I know, fans aren't very patient people. Media, we're not very patient, but I think patience is really a critical thing.
I'd actually add, is it 4 people in new roles? It's McDonald head coach. It's Grubb NFL coordinator, it's Dirty NFL D coordinator, and it's Harbaugh NFL special teams coach, right? Like that third phase that can win you or lose your game. Yeah, that we never hardly talk about. That you do have great specialists, but that's going to be a phase, especially when you're a defensive team, defensive-minded head coach. Like those two got to be peanut butter and jelly. So yeah, there is a lot of newness, and that is where honestly all of that communication, all those meetings, all those things you don't see in February and March. And oh, by the way, whether it is, it's a lot of different people I've heard this from in and around the organization that just raved about the communicative skills of the staff, that just raved about these coaches. They may be first timers and they weren't like bumps on the log. It wasn't moss on the tree. It wasn't ho hum. I don't really have an opinion. No, it was, I need this. I want this. I need this kind of. I can use that. It was very, very thorough, very well vetted, a lot of communication, and now all that talk is going to become walk, and it starts today with practice number 1.
By the way, you know who should watch that Hard Knocks? Players. The players in the league should watch this new Hard Knocks and see how the organizations are actually run. I think it would be an instructive, helpful process for many of the players in the league. Many of the guys, and we saw it here, right? All the times that the LOB guys got upset. Why aren't I being paid? Why isn't this happening? Why are you making this decision? That's not what I would. I think it would be helpful for them to watch something like this off-season Hard Knocks, which is focusing on the Giants. If you're not watching it or haven't heard about it, it's focusing on the Giants and their off-season. So not the players necessarily, but it really focuses on the GM and the owner. But the central figure is their general manager and and how he interacts with everyone else around him and how the decisions are made to build a team rather than to go through training camp and the on-field stuff. If I were a player, I think it would be really helpful to them to watch it and sort of. I was going to ask Jaren Reed about it, and we just didn't have enough time. But I'll ask somebody as we go through training camp here. Yeah. Hey, have you watched this? Because I think it would be, it'd be really instructive and helpful for them.
I bet it's all over the board. I bet their guys are like, "What's Hard Knocks?"
Right.
I'm dead, and I'm dead serious. Like, huh? I bet there's some. I bet there are others that have watched every one of them. Right, and are equally fascinated, and then just all across the spectrum of everything else sprinkled in that I find it interesting, or they get really pissy, or they're just screwing us, and see the collusion. I bet it's all over the board. But for a fan, and for you and I especially, and you, Salk, in particular, that just loves that team build, as I know we'll spin back to the Mariners in 10 minutes here and get back to where they are and their valuations and their decisions and all of these things. I'll just say one last thing. I think it was episode 3. And I was watching it with Graham and Steve, my men's group that were all hanging out with me over the weekend. And we were watching it, and there was a scene there where I was like, oh, gosh, don't do that. Don't do that. You sound so whiny. Oh, the market, there's so much out of our control. Like, what are we going to do?
I thought the same thing, and I knew that would bother you.
And it bothered all my buddies. Like, dude, that's not how you run a business.
Right, of course. Yes, it's not in your control. There's a market. Control.
But are you a victim to the market, or are you just like, hey, man, don't even play that?
I would say in his case, his actions were like, all right, that's the market. This is what I got to do.
Right.
I got to spend an extra $1 million. I got to spend an extra $1 million. Okay.
Yes.
I mean, like, he acted that way.
Correct.
But the words were uninspiring.
So uninspiring as a leader.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
With his staff around him, and he was like toes pointed out, hands in his pocket, body language, just a defeat. Like, what are we gonna do? Like,
I tend
suck
to
it up,
agree with that.
Buttercup. Like 31 other
I still like him
GMs.
better than that D coordinator, man. That guy just makes me mad. Watching him on that show, I'm like, this is an arrogant son of a gun. Like, he just steps in. Like, you've never done anything. Like, you work for the Titans or whatever. You come in, you're like, whatever. I don't know. Have you? What do you think? What's the guy's name? Brian, who they end up getting at the end? Brian Burns? Yeah, I'm okay with Brian Burns. Like, dude, who do you think you are?
Right.
Right?
Yes.
Like, come and be like, yeah, Brian Burns would be great. Yes, that would be awesome. He's like, Brian Burns? Yeah, I watch film. Yeah, and do you like him? I don't know. That guy makes me mad. Like, he brings out something visceral in me. I don't like him one bit. Not even a little. He drives me crazy. All right. Hey, Sean McVay was on this Athletic podcast.
Yes.
And spent some time talking about Mike McDonald. We played this earlier, right, where he's like, oh, damn, he's going to be in my division. I don't need that. Here he is explaining someone like McDonald and his defense.
I respect the coordinators the most, that you can see an intent behind what they're trying to get done, and I thought that showed up consistently on his tape.
Selfishly, I am excited that I get to watch.
Yeah, no, and I am too as a competitor, but it's gonna be a great challenge, and shoot, he's got some pretty damn good players to work with in Seattle. That I know there's some positive buzz coming out of there.
That word intent, what does that mean? What do I hear in that? Okay, just football 101.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said this to you before, man. There's certain teams I put on the tape for all my college teams. I'll get disgusted at times looking at these college D coordinators that just play coverage. They just play these coverages. They have no intent. They're just playing cover 2 to play cover 2. They don't hit landmarks. They don't reroute. They're just playing quarters. They're playing 2. They're playing man. Like, there's just no real cultural intent behind what they do. They're a Rolodex, and they're playing these coverage because they're supposed to. And then after the game, we mix coverages. Oh, we play cover 3. Oh, we play cover 2. It's just football. Everybody does the same thing. No, they don't. No, there are those that actually have intent. And when they play that coverage and they disguise that coverage and they take away the strength of your scheme within that, that's intent. Those are the next layers to it. Oh, I run 4 verts. What do you want me to say on offense? I'm calling the same thing everybody else calls. Yeah, you're just calling it off a Rolodex.
Right.
You have no purpose.
Right, the intent. I think
you have no intent. Point. You're not stacking anything. You're not calling one thing to call the next thing like McVay and Shanahan do. You don't stand there with the back judge telling the back judge, hey, watch this safety here because I'm calling this play because you're going to hold my – that's intent. That's next level stuff.
Isn't that exactly what you were calling edge earlier in the show? With the Mariners, right? I think intent is another very good word for what you're talking about. It comes from confidence. It comes from competence. Mm-hmm. It comes from real intelligence, and it comes from a lot of hard work and effort presenting itself. All right, good conversation. Training camp underway today. Our coverage is presented by The Landing in Renton. Coming up next, we're on to the next in our most intriguing Seahawks countdown. And this guy, Brock, I thought he was going to be your answer today on Blue 88.
Most pleasant surprise?
Especially a guy that once you started saying we've barely talked about this guy, the name I came up with was the guy who's going to be up today in the most intriguing Seahawk, a guy who's had 217 tackles over the last 2 years, and we've barely mentioned him. It's next on Brock and Salk.
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
Mariners broadcaster Dave Sims.
This is the window for this ball club of that pitching, which continues to be just fabulous. Everybody I talk to, managers, coaches, they go, hey, dude, we do not want to face you guys in a 3-game series. No freaking way. Well, it all comes down to you got to get there. This team is sort of made for those type of playoff runs, but to get there, you're going to have to do some bashing and scoring and creating opportunities and cashing them in.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Hey, Brock Heward here, along with IRG Physical and Hand Therapy President and CEO, Shannon O'Kelly. Now, Shannon, I need to ask you if what I've been hearing is true. You don't need a referral, really, to see a physical therapist in the state of Washington?
That's exactly right, Brock. The state of Washington is a state that has what's called direct access. That means that if you get up in the morning, for example, and you hurt your back or did something to your muscles or tendons or joints, you can call a physical therapist directly, and we can get you in that same day and start your care and your recovery process.
How can patients get scheduled with IRG?
Oh, it's easy. You just contact us at irgpt.com. We'll direct you to our concierge service, and we'll take care of all that for you. We handle all the authorization, verification. We want our patients to understand their insurance benefits and what the outcomes are going to be with their visit to IRG Physical and Hand Therapy.
Please, please, please don't let injuries keep you from your passion. Schedule online today at irgpt.com and start the journey back to your best self.
At Buc-ee's, we'll keep you ready for summertime. For over 50 years, Buc-ee's Complete Auto has been servicing and repairing cars and trucks with modern-day technology and good old-fashioned customer service. Buc-ee's is the largest independent family-owned chain in the Northwest. There's a Buc-ee's just about everywhere for factory maintenance, oil changes, wiper blades, air conditioning, brakes, tire rotation, tune-ups, everything you need to get you running smoothly this summer. No appointment necessary, and financing's available too. Check Buc-ee's.com for the location near you.
Hey everyone, Jaden Schwartz for Techline Roofing. If your summer list includes 18 holes and a new roof, give Techline a call and we'll come out for a free inspection. Trust Techline. They shoot from the tips.
Tired of spending endless hours on lawn care? Switch to Synthetic Turf Northwest, the Northwest's leader in quality synthetic turf products and professional installation. With 28 years of experience, we're your trusted source in Seattle, Tacoma, and Bellevue. Ask about our 18-month no-interest financing and how you can beat the heat and save up to $1,000 off your project now through July 31st. Start enjoying a beautiful, low-maintenance lawn today. SyntheticTurfNorthwest.com, 425-788-0718. Stop stressing about your lawn and start enjoying it.
This is Stacey Rost. Is that leaky faucet driving you crazy? Don't wait until it becomes a flood. Call Ben's Plumbing, Heating, and Air. At Ben's Plumbing, they pride themselves on 5-star service, where your satisfaction is their priority. Whether it's a stubborn clog or a complete plumbing overhaul, their team of dedicated professionals is here to help with no commission sales tactics. Just honest, reliable service you can count on. Call today at 206-789-5353 or visit Ben's.plumbing. That's Ben's.plumbing.
Overburdened with a bunch of stuff you don't want anymore, but feel bad throwing it away? John here with Happy Hauler, Seattle's eco-friendly junk removal. We prioritize donating and recycling. We'll help get your items to those in need instead of going to the landfill. At Happy Hauler, we pride ourselves on responsibility, community, and sustainability. We're a family-run small business that provides junk removal, donations, and recycling. Make yourself, your community, and the planet happy. It's time to reclaim your space. HappyHauler.com, hauling with a heart.
Are you putting off your new kitchen plans? Why wait? Hi, Chad Cicchini, owner of Heritage Homecraft. Call today and ask about our trade-in sale. Years of experience, thousands of happy customers. Heritage Homecraft, 425-485-1600 or heritagehomecraft.com.
Mr. K's Construction reminds parents swimming is a healthy outlet for kids if we remember to put safety first. Make sure your children are visible at all times by a lifeguard or responsible adult. Sign them up for swimming lessons and provide a flotation device for added safety. Always check swimming conditions in advance and remind your kids to never swim alone. Best wishes to all our kids from the entire team at Mr. K's Construction, committed to making your home and our community beautiful since 1977.
We just want to have enough money for retirement.
And travel to visit our grandchildren.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we start by getting to know each other, so I can learn about your family, lifestyle, goals and needs, allowing us to tailor your portfolio.
What about commission-based products?
We don't sell those. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in your best interest.
So how do your management fees work?
We have a simple management fee based on the value of your portfolio, so we do better when you do better.
We appreciate that kind of transparency.
We also check in with you regularly to keep you up to date on the markets and your portfolio.
Well, what other services do you offer?
As a client, you have access to resources on investing, financial planning, estate planning, Social Security, Medicare, and more.
Wow, sounds like Fisher Investments has everything we need.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Get in the freaking auto!
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Brock and Salk on Seattle Sports.
Brock Ewert is my hero.
Jay Buhner just punched me in the kidney.
Brought to you by Simply Seattle.
We're going to accuse you of murder.
That really worked that way, Sherm. This is a show that has my name on it.
It kind of does, though.
Now, here are your hosts, Brock Ewert and Mike Salk.
All right, final hour of the Brock and Salk show this morning as we get ready for training camp. Kicking off today with the first practice, and more is going to be out there. I will be out there. I was talking to Brady Henderson yesterday, and it's like, see you tomorrow. Like, kind of crazy. Just the whole thing really begins, and that is fun. It is all new days are fun and interesting and exciting and all of that. And football is no exception. It's so awesome that we're now going to be kind of back in the swing of football for the next 6 months or whatever it is, which is great. Let's see. We're going to get back to some baseball talk in about 30 minutes, but we have been counting down, Brock, getting ready for the first Seahawks preseason game. Just a couple of weeks away, 2.5 weeks away, essentially, from today. And we have been counting down our most intriguing Seahawks. Not the best, but the guys who are the most intriguing, the storylines that matter. Today, that brings us to
number 13.
Safety, Rayshawn Jenkins, Brock. I mentioned 217 tackles over the last 2 years. He's played in every game during that stretch for Jacksonville. Before his time in Jacksonville, he was a Charger for a little while and kind of worked his way into playing time, not much his first couple seasons, and grew into the role. But he's a tackler. He's a strong safety, right? He's played strong safety, not free safety during his time in the league because he is a tackler. He's a guy who should be able to come up. I don't know if he's going to be Cam Chancellor. I don't know if he's going to punish anybody who runs into the hole, but he seems to be a sure tackler, and more than anything, just like you said with Julian Love, a smart dude, a communicator on the field who they are really going to rely on to make all of these calls. And you heard it today from Jaren Reed. They are going to call things and mix it up and audible all the time. Well, you got to have smart dudes and you've got to have good communicators. And by all accounts, Rayshawn Jenkins is all of that. He was their biggest signing from outside this offseason, right? Yes, they signed Leonard Williams, but he was already here. Their biggest guy that they brought in from the outside was Rayshawn Jenkins.
I think on a deal very similar to Julian Love, if I'm correct, a 2-year deal. It wasn't top of the market money, but he has been, I like the way you say that, he's just kind of a hard hat, blue collar, played at the U. I had him when he was at Miami years ago, came out 6'1", 214, ran 4.51, but a 1.59, that's twitchy, that's quick. Had to earn the right as a 4th-round pick to the Chargers, as you said. Spent a couple years, special teams, had some good safeties in front of him. Got a chance to start for 2 years. Did well enough that Jacksonville signed him to a 3-year deal. Got paid a little bit of money down there. Did well enough there. And you mentioned just great durability the last 2 seasons to come here and be an influencer. Right? We use impact a lot. You want this guy to be an influencer on everybody else.
Like an Instagram influencer?
Sure. No, like a hit you in the face influencer, right? And John Schneider said this about a bunch of these guys this year, man. Green dot. Oh, he's a green dot. Oh, he's a green dot. And, oh, by the way, like our college football seminar, guess what college football now has? Green dots. They got rid of, all these sign stealing nonsense. So now they, too, will have a green dot on the field to communicate with. And with a headset in the helmet, and that's what Rayshawn was in Jacksonville. He was a green dotter. And I believe Dotson was a green dotter, and I think even Baker was a green dotter. Julian Love could be a green dotter. Like a lot of communicators and a lot of influencers. And I would counter a little bit, Salk, you saying, and I think this is what the PFF guys loved, is he's not just a strong safety. He's not just a free safety. He's played in quarters coverage. He's played in shell coverage. He's been able, through different systems, to play both free and strong and be interchangeable, which I think was another piece of why he was attractive to the staff.
That is today's most intriguing Seahawk. It is Rayshawn Jenkins at number 13, a name that honestly we've not talked much about. And he did stand out a little bit when we were out at some of the offseason stuff. I'll be curious to see if that is again true as training camp starts today. Because
you know what he will be one of, by the way? He'll be one of many, like Jaren and Rayshawn and the other guys that have probably gone home, Salk, for the last month or so down south And as Graziano said, the heat and the humidity, and they've been training, and he's a Florida guy. I'm sure he got off that plane yesterday like, oh, yes. Oh, I like this. And when I was up here in January, February, I mean, and even in June, or it was a little marine layer, like, this is nice now. Like, there's no humidity, this little breeze off the lake.
Not
like,
bad.
This is a paradise.
Not bad at all. Yes, our training camp coverage, by the way, presented by The Landing in Renton. A lot of ways you can follow us here. Obviously on the air at 710 and at seattlesports.com. And been talking more recently about how you can listen at HD2, 97.3 HD2. That's how I listen to the station most. Was listening to Bump and Stacy for a little while yesterday as they were talking to Scott Pioli. Was listening to Bob yesterday and Dave as they were talking through some of the Mariners offense and the numbers and listing some of the real challenges numbers-wise. You can do that at 97.3 HD2, assuming you have an HD radio, which most new cars do, even like the last 5 years. But you can also download the Seattle Sports app, which is important. You should have the Seattle Sports app. I'm so sick of you people that don't. I really am. I'm just tired of having to give this read. What do you mean you don't have the Seattle Sports app?
Wow.
Why? Just like, this is 2024. Okay. You really don't have our app? Like, I don't even know what to say to you at this point. So get back onto my good side, please. Download the Seattle Sports app. And when you do, there's a lot of benefits for you, right? You can obviously listen to the station live. You can watch the station live. You can listen on demand. You can read all of the great things that people are writing here. Stacy's excellent writer. Maura was writing just this past week. Had a really good piece on the Seahawks. Occasionally, I dabble once a week with a little writing myself. You know, there's a lot to read. But also now, Brock, there's a new feature. You know about this new feature, right? Where you can give us a voice memo, a little voice message. Super easy to do. It's right at the bottom. It says call in, and then the next button, you just click it, and you just leave a little voice message. And tell us about whatever you want. Make fun of us, make fun of Maura, make fun of the Seahawks, make fun of the Mariners, make fun of something else going on in the world, whatever the case may be. We'd love to hear from you. And on Thursdays, we, which is tomorrow, by the way, at 8 o'clock, we do it. We put them all together. It's called Here's the Thing. And so we would like to hear from you guys. You got to download the app first. And once you do, you can just leave us a voice. And people have been funny. We got, what's the guy who now every time goes bye at the end? Like, he's got a little catchphrase.
That's Brad.
That's Brad's catchphrase.
Hey, Maura,
here's the thing. I heard myself teasing Brock today about the kissing and holding hands thing, and he sounded like I might have hurt his feelings a little bit. And I just want to tell you, Brock, I'm sorry. I was just trying to be funny. We love you. You're tall enough. You're blonde enough. Your eyes are blue enough, and God darn it, people love you. Love you, bye.
Yeah, he's become a star.
Yes, he
so
sure has.
Maura's been busy. Like, we don't need to talk about that, but she's been really super busy. And I'm curious, Maura, did you respond to Christopher yesterday on Twitter, who tweeted you a picture of the upload failed? And he said, so here's the thing. I've heard you guys mention this before, and I may have left 0 or 5. I don't know. Did I upload this correctly or not? So is there some user error as well, Maura, or did you respond back to Christopher?
Up that message. When I tried it, it does pop up that message every now and then, but it
just keep working.
Are you wondering whether or not occasionally people don't use technology right?
Yeah, just
I'm going to guess that's the case.
Well, I was wondering more if Maura got back to Christopher, as busy as she has been, and I'm also going to sabotage.
Stop it!
I'm going to hijack.
Yeah. No, because I check these once a week. I let them pile up. So I was going to go in today and go through them, and I will get back to Chris.
Great. Appreciate that. Okay,
if you're not too busy, apparently, according to Brock. He's mentioned that now a couple of times.
Busy.
You know what? Brock told me that he wanted me to get out more.
Get busy.
And now he's frustrated by it.
Everything you need to know next.
Brock couldn't be more right. It's coming up on Brock and Salk.
With new leadership, the Seahawks are ready to get to work. Seattle Sports will be at Seahawks headquarters, taking you onto the field with the team. Interviews, analysis, and exclusive behind-the-scenes coverage as Gino and the Hawks get ready for the 2024 season.
Ball picked up. Witherspoon comes near side. He is in. Witherspoon with the interception for a touchdown.
Training camp coverage is presented by The Landing in Renton on your home for the Seahawks, Seattle Sports.
Well, everyone these days is hitting the road, to the water, to the mountains. This is why we live in the Pacific Northwest, simply sometimes just to get away. No matter where that road takes you, I know you're going to have more fun getting there in a new car, SUV, or pickup truck. Hey, Brock Heward here, and for the very best experience finding the perfect new or pre-owned vehicle, you have got to go see my family friends over at the Harnish Auto Family. And I told you before, 6 dealerships, 20 acres of new and used vehicles for you to choose from. So whether you're looking for an electric vehicle, sports car, seating for 7, or a Poland machine, Harnish Auto Family, they got hundreds of options. They got you covered with special pricing and discounts as well. Harnish Auto Family includes my buddy Eric Butler up there at Kia of Everett. Go say hi to Ward at Chevrolet of Everett, Sace at Volkswagen of Puyallup, Ryan at Subaru of Puyallup, and Chevrolet Buick GMC of P-Town as well. For the most friendly experience finding the perfect car, truck, or SUV, you have got to start at HarnishAutoFamily.com. It's Harnish Auto Family, where people matter.
Matt Coker here with West Coast Men's Health. In the past 5 years, we've seen thousands of men at our clinics. Most guys tell us the same story, that in their early 50s, it's not that they couldn't function, they just needed help. They started taking Viagra, and it worked great at first. But after a few years, it stopped working. The problem is that their arteries had become more restricted since they started taking it, because Viagra does not unclog arteries. Here at West Coast Men's Health, we use acoustic wave therapy to target the real problem. We break down plaque and clear up the arteries so blood can flow like it did in your 20s. This restores function. And guys, listen to this. You won't have to take a pill anymore. So if this sounds like you, give West Coast Men's Health a call today and see how we can help.
With clinics in Redmond and Tacoma, call 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
Tingling and numbness or burning pain in the feet or hands are warning signs of peripheral neuropathy. For years, Sound Pain Solutions has helped thousands using our innovative narcotic-free approach. Now we're excited to introduce our most powerful treatment yet. I'm Dr. Mark Shelley, a chiropractic physician and functional neurologist at Sound Pain Solutions. We've discovered a new bioelectrical treatment that produces remarkable results. Studies show 85% of neuropathy sufferers report a 50% reduction in pain. Our new therapy can reduce pain and regenerate damaged nerves. It's performed by medical providers and naturopathic physicians. It's a breakthrough treatment that has changed the lives of thousands who suffer from nerve pain. At Sound Pain Solutions, all our therapies are non-surgical, FDA cleared, and narcotic free. Learn if you qualify for our new neuropathy treatment. Schedule a free consultation by visiting soundpainsolutions.com. soundpainsolutions.com.
It's Cookies Country Chicken pregame fry time reminder. Headed to the ball game? Come on down to Cookies in Pioneer Square for some real good chicken and tell them,
make it spicy.
Fresh fried chicken at Cookies. CookiesCountryChicken.com.
RiversideRoofingLLC.com. Enter your address and receive a hassle-free quick quote on your roof replacement within seconds. Do it this summer and save time, money, and just get your project done. Go to RiversideRoofingLLC.com, the roofing company you can trust.
Make sure your air conditioning system is ready for a hot summer. Visit DEARservices.net for our $49 tune-up with no service fee and a no breakdown guarantee. Dear Services.
Are you looking for a construction loan to build your dream home? Are you a local builder needing a better financing option for your next spec project? Hi, I'm Scott Rireka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital in Bellevue. Stop wasting time with local banks and credit unions and their endless guidelines. We're the experts for common sense residential construction loans. We lend our own money, we make our own decisions. And if your deal makes sense, we'll get it done fast with flexible terms. For homeowners, we advise you every step of the way with things like budget and timeline, ensuring the completion of your dream home. For builders, Legacy's not only your lender, we'll source your next deal, provide permitting services, and if you're short on equity, we'll invest alongside of you. Legacy Group Capital has lent more than $1 billion, helping over 130 local builders and hundreds of homeowners. We can help you.
Construction loans don't have to be hard. Borrow smart with a common sense construction loan from Legacy Group Capital. Visit LegacyG.com. LegacyG.com.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Diego.
Hi, Diego. It's Jennifer Coolidge. You know, I just want to say your cashback match makes me feel so special.
It really inspired me.
That's great. Doubling the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year is what we do.
Well, I'm doubling everything now. Double dating, double dipping, double feature, double header, double whammy. Basically double or nothing.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate. Not a rate based on Terry who keeps and makes the car behind them. Oh no, they're about to. Save with DriveWise and the Allstate app and only pay a rate based on you.
Not available in every state, subject to terms and conditions. Rating factors and savings vary, and in some states your rate could increase with high-risk driving. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Need to know. Brought to you by Ben's Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. Up first.
We spent a while talking football today, but we will get back to the baseball, and it was ugly last night. A really, really bad, brutal, ugly night for the Mariners. The offense, once again, did next to nothing. The pitching, look, Logan was mostly fine, but not at his best, and had one tough inning. And unfortunately, it was the defense, in some ways his own, that was most problematic.
Pitch to Neto, shows bunt, lays it down on the first base side. Here comes the runner at third. Logan has it, high throw to the catcher. Gets on by Cal Raleigh. Scoring is Shanuel. Here comes Drury trying to score. The throw back to Gilbert. And Gilbert puts the tag on Drury at home plate. And the run is going to score. 2 runs are going to score. And the Angels now have a 3-0 lead.
Yeah, it turned out to be runner or fielder interference at third base on Josh Rojas, which allowed that other run to score. The Angels added 2 more after that. Next thing you know, 5-1. This team wasn't going to score 6 runs in a game.
3 hits.
They weren't going to score 2 runs in a game.
Yeah, 3 hits, so.
It was really tough. And the timing of the hits wasn't great either. You put it all together, a couple of errors, some other shoddy play, and this is what Scott was upset about the previous night, right? You can't give a bad team runs, especially when you're not hitting. Now, on the other hand, the mistakes were made by a pitcher and a guy who was called up essentially earlier in the day, but can't have it. And it's a weird environment around the team right now, I'm sure. There's a lot of changes, but it's unfortunately Scott's job to try to find a way to work through it and keep this team focused.
And on a day of lots of that change, it was telling to me that it was the young guys right away thrown in there. It was, Vossler's not a young guy, but it's his first time up in a Mariners uniform, and obviously Ty Locklear's thrown in there. You did not see the 2 33-year-olds that have been a part of the offensive struggle this season in Haniger and in Garver, and I'm going to imagine you're going to have to. I'm going to imagine yesterday was a day for them to watch, like Scott, from that dugout and be like, okay. I mean, do you have anything left in the tank? Right, Jorge had a nice little, before the All-Star break, felt like it was starting to thaw a little bit, felt like it was going, and it's been 2 or 3 pretty rough days yet again. Like, who's it going to be? Is it going to be one of your 30-somethings, or is it going to be the young kids? Because 2 of your most prominent faces in the middle of this thing are now on the IL.
Well, we're going to get to that right now.
Here's the second thing you need to know.
Those 2 prominent names, Julio Rodriguez and J.P. Crawford, both placed on the injured list yesterday. For Julio, a high ankle sprain. For J.P., listed as a broken hand. It's a hairline fracture in the pinky specifically. Julio Rodriguez did speak before the game and after the news had come out. And one of the questions is, hey, if you had played, could it get worse?
Yeah, definitely. I personally don't think that was going to be the best thing for the team. And I feel like for all my teammates too, because I feel like I respect them enough to know when I cannot do it, I cannot do it. And I feel like I have to be honest with them about that.
Did I tell you I've had ankle injury, Salk? A high ankle and
you've mentioned
ankle,
that. Did you have a high ankle sprain?
I had an ankle sprain and a dislocated ankle. Bone popped through. It was pretty bad. Here's the thing about ankle sprains and high ankle sprains. If you do try to rush it back, it lingers and bothers you the rest of the way. It does.
So your ankle take is pretty different from Wyman's.
Does not get better.
I was listening to Wyman the other day, and I don't, if I'm misquoting him here, I'm sure somebody will let me know. But what I heard Dave say was, look, of all the injuries, I'll take ankle because you can tape up an ankle.
Yep. Yes. Yeah, I mean, you sprain an MCL, you tear a knee ligament, you have what Dave has had, dislocated knee and broken bone.
Right.
Yes.
If Julio had been a shoulder or a wrist or an oblique, those are things there's nothing you can do about. You can tape up an ankle.
You can.
Now, is a high ankle sprain still considered the same as an ankle?
Not necessarily.
Because it's
ankle,
so high, right?
Correct.
You can't just tape it up?
No. Sometimes they actually go in and they wire the bones together and tighten it back up, and that can expedite the healing process.
Sheesh.
And I'm sure they're turning over every stone looking at it. But this is one of those situations that, especially with Julio's speed, right? If Julio was just a DH, maybe you tape it up. Maybe he doesn't go on IL. Maybe he misses 3 or 4 games. But the name of his game is speed. And speed requires that thing to be functional, and right now it's not.
Not the only moves yesterday. We saw quite a few. Ty France officially DFA'd, so he will no longer be with the Mariners, comes off the roster, both the 26-man and the 40-man roster at that point. In their place, we see Tyler Locklear, Luis Rivas, Cade Marlowe, all making their return to the big leagues. Locklear has hit when he's come up, and he did have a hit yesterday, which was nice. Challenges on the defensive end, unfortunately, so we'll see where this goes next.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
And yes, it is the start of training camp today. Great to be talking football again, and by tomorrow we will have something in front of us that we've actually had a chance to watch. It's not going to be full pads and hitting and Oklahoma drills today, but it should be a more intense and maybe even a little bit more physical camp than we've seen.
Yes, and I love what Jaren Reed said. He's been a few other places, right? He went from Seattle to Kansas City to Green Bay and now back home to hopefully ride this thing out with success in Seattle. And he was part of joint practices elsewhere. And he's been a part of physical practices back in the day with the Seahawks, too. And, yeah, Jaren's looking forward to a little more physical camp under Mike McDonald.
You know, it's going to be different from a lot of camps. I don't think every one of them's the same. But as far as, introducing, the joint practice, to this organization, I think it's going to be good for us because we get to go against other guys during the time in training camp. That just makes it more fun. You get to see, other different type of schemes, other different type of regimes and how guys practice. And you also get to, practice how in a game like speed, but it's also a practice. And that's good when you're going into that and getting ready for the season because you kind of get to prepare your starters and everybody who's really not going to play as much as in preseason. You kind of prepare those guys for the season.
You know what it's like? It's like practicing against your own teammates sparring, and you got the headgear on, and, you're just sparring. And then when you get to those joint practices, headgear comes off. And, yeah, we're quote-unquote sparring, but we're actually, I want to just lay in you. And at that point, a few weeks into camp as well, oh, yeah. You're ready to go hit somebody else and hit them real hard.
All right, that's everything you need to know. 1/4 every hour. Brock, I think you were right. You said we might need to hear from Mark in Maple Valley. I don't know if Mark's listening today or where he might be. I'm sure there's a lot of frustrated Mariners fans who have watched something over the last couple of days and the last few weeks, but specifically the last couple of days, that while the offense has been bad all the way along, in my view, what we've seen the last few days was still unrecognizable from what we had seen.
So you've lost 9 of 10 series.
It's not just that. That's bad. But the sloppiness over the last 2 games has differentiated it from the previous 5 or 6 weeks.
Well, it started in the first or second inning on Friday night against
absolutely.
the
Yeah,
Astros.
I should say really since the All-Star break.
Yeah.
The sloppy play is what differentiates it from me. This is not, and I'm sure they're connected, and certainly they're connected in all of our minds, but they went from playing well but not hitting to not playing well and not hitting. And that's problematic. It's one thing to not hit. I said it earlier. It's another thing to not hit and not play good baseball. You got to do the other things. You got to play with focus, or else it's impossible to play this game. And a manager doesn't hit, a manager doesn't pitch, but a manager, unfortunately for Scott, does need to find a way to keep his team focused. That's what comes back to the manager. Not the hitting, not the pitching, but the focus. And the last couple games, and that's why Scott's been so mad and so frustrated, the focus hasn't been there on the part of his players. So now he's got to figure out a way to get it back. So I wanted to open up the phone lines, 866-979-3776 for about 15 minutes. I guess I kind of have 2 questions, so this is a bad radio decision, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Focus.
I know, but I'm going to
focus.
I know. Jesus. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry. Brock and I have been laughing about this all day. Don't worry about it. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about the lack of focus? What do you think is happening, and how do you think it stops? But my other question is, how does this affect the way you handle the trade deadline? Do you act any differently now, 6 days away from the trade deadline?
You got to know when to hold up. Know when to hold
It's the official
up.
song of the trade deadline. Kenny Rogers getting paid off that every year. Does this change the way you view the deadline and what you would like to see the Mariners do? So I'll open it up on both those conversations, Brock. 866-979-3776. 866-979-3776. Would like to take some of your calls next on Brock and Salk.
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
So I still go to Mariners Reddit a ton, and I find that in general, people are 50-50, with some people being like, why would you sell the farm to salvage this, and other people being like, how dare you look at this rotation and not build something.
They could come out tonight and look great and go on a run, and you feel differently about this team, but you're getting to that point where I don't think either side is really wrong at this point, whether it's like, let's prep for next year, or just get a little bit of help. They might be able to do something.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Hey, Mike Salk here. It has been awesome outside. The weather has just been perfect, but that hot afternoon sun, yeah, if your windows are leaking or they're builder grade, then your home is not as energy efficient as it needs to be, and you're spending a whole lot more on your utility bills than you want to. That's why Window Nation is here, and they have high-quality windows that are built to last a lifetime. Right now, for every 2 windows you buy, you will get 2 windows for free, and there is no limit to how much you could save. Plus, save even more. 0 down, no interest or payments for 24 months. Window Nation's windows do come with a lifetime warranty, and they can be installed in just 1 day or less. They were also recently ranked highest on Forbes' list of best window installation companies. So yeah, you can trust Window Nation for high-quality, affordable windows. Stop paying more than you have to. Schedule a free, fast in-home estimate right now at 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com.
Guys, did you know your testosterone affects everything in your system, including how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level can change your whole life. Most men start to see changes in their hormone levels in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Hey, what are you doing up on the step stool?
About to clean these light fixtures. The whole family's coming over. And if there's even a speck of dust in the house, my abuela will find it.
Here, I got a Swiffer duster to help with that.
A Swiffer what?
A Swiffer duster. It has this cool extendable handle that reaches 6 feet to get high and low, with fluffy dusters that easily trap and lock dust.
So, no more step stool?
No more step stool.
Easily trap and lock dust from hard-to-reach places with the Swiffer duster. Love it or your money back.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer, he hears things differently. To the untrained ear, everything on his shop floor might sound fine, but he can hear gears grinding or a belt slipping. So he steps in to fix the problem at hand before it gets out of hand. And he knows Grainger's got the right product he needs to get the job done, which is music to his ears. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Want to listen to Seattle sports on your smart speaker?
Hey, smart speaker, play Seattle sports.
This message is powered by the EQC Sportsbook at Emerald Queen Casino. Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
Hey, it's Ryan Rowland-Smith. Hiking, biking, swimming, boating, golfing, whatever you love to do is so much better after King LASIK frees you from hassling with glasses and contacts. Hurry, this month save $1,000. Start with a free Zoom consult at kinglasik.com.
Listen throughout the week to the Mariners Player Spotlight.
Ever since I got here, I want to win a World Series in Seattle, and this city's starving for another winning team.
Presented by Muckleshoot Casino Resort.
There's an old saying that a house is not a home, but the Mariners house, T-Mobile Park, is home to an awful lot. home to plays you can't believe.
Right shot, diving catch. Holy smokes, what a play by Crawford.
Home to 6-foot salmon that don't swim, they sprint. And even home to hot dogs that fall from heaven. Hallelujah.
Everybody likes free food just falling from the sky.
Oh, yeah. And it's also home to 47,000 screaming faithful.
We have a sellout crowd. I mean, the folks are up there in the rafters.
T-Mobile Park is our house. Mariners fans make it our home. Mariners baseball. Tridents up.
The next Mariners homestand gets started with one of T-Mobile Park's biggest events of the year. Don't miss the Mariners Drone Show, Friday, August 2nd against the Phillies, presented by Muckleshoot Casino Resort. It's your chance to catch a post-game spectacular featuring 500 drones lighting up the sky. Get your tickets and check out the rest of the summer festivities at mariners.com.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
Are you really that different than the rest of us?
We are. As a fiduciary, we always focus on what's best for our clients.
What services do you offer besides investing?
We have a team of specialists in financial planning, estate planning, and more.
Your clients rely on you for all that?
Yes, we ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Okay, but you still sell commission-based products, right?
No, because we believe that's a conflict of interest. We prioritize service over sales goals.
So, then how do your fees work?
We have a simple and transparent fee that's a percentage of our clients' portfolios. So we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, we're more different than I thought.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at fisherinvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Brock and Salk.
Weekdays 6 to 10.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Is this like the official song of phone lines being open? We do this Fridays generally, but hey, training camp on a Wednesday? Let's do a little fella cootie. Make it a fella Wednesday. Why not? 866-979-3776. We'll take some calls here before Ranked in 15 minutes, Brock. And the questions are about the Mariners. I'm sorry to cram two questions into one, but we don't have a lot of time today. There's so much going on that I'm kind of forced to. And the questions are about what the heck is going on right now with the on-field focus. And then also what you want to do about it from a trade deadline perspective and whether these last couple of days and weeks have changed your tune on what the Mariners should do by next week's trade deadline. I did see a text a few minutes ago that asked, before we get to the calls, has Scott lost the clubhouse? I think the answer to that is, I don't know. Probably not. It's hard to lose a clubhouse that quickly, right? And I think if you had asked me a week ago, I would have said definitively not. But I think that this is a test for him to make sure that doesn't happen. I'm not willing to say today that he's lost the clubhouse.
Fair enough to say this may be one of the most complicated clubhouses we've seen.
Well, yeah, because it doesn't have one guy in charge.
Because it has one side that is, as Passan said to us yesterday, historically unbelievable. It has one side that is historically inept. It has one side that's got some 30-somethings that just are not producing. It's got another side that has seen some young, whether it's Locklear or Bliss or some of these young pieces try to come up and find a place. And then you're supposed to be steadying forces in the middle of all of it. And JP and Julio have so massively underperformed.
That it's hard to be a voice.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this is about as complicated a clubhouse.
And all of that got a whole lot more pressure put on it. Exacerbated by what's been going on with the moves and unfortunately those things the Ty France thing backfired. I said it earlier, I'll say it again. I understand why they did it all, but much like the Graveman trade and much like the Sewald trade, the timing, the way it came out, whatever it was, it backfires on them. And of course, the guy who's replacing Ty France would make an error or not an error, but two difficult non-plays in the field in his first start.
Yeah.
Two plays that Ty probably makes.
Ball just fine.
It's unbelievable. All right, 866-979-3776. Let's start with Harry in Seattle. Good morning, Harry.
Good morning. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, basically, I just think it's the timer's on right now. It's, we were always talking about we're going to wait and see what teams are buyers and sellers after the All-Star break. But at this point, I think everything has panned out. we kind of are getting an idea of what teams are buyers and sellers. And just for Scott's career, for his sake, I think the timer's on. Dipoto needs to make a move. I like guys like Rooker, but I think that getting rid of Ty France was just a shell shock to the clubhouse. And all these players, Scott mentioned it the other day, all these players aren't sure of their certainty on the team.
I'm glad you bring that up. And Harry, that's a great point you make. Brock, there is a part of this. If you want the positive side, because I just gave you some of the negative. You want the positive?
Mm-hmm.
Right now is the transition period. This is unfortunately the time between when you made the first moves and before you get to the later ones. And it might take 3, 4, 5 days to sort it all out, but that once it gets sorted, it should stabilize.
Oh, no, by the way, a broken pinky and a high ankle sprain.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to add injury, not insult to injury to insults.
Right. Yeah, that was unexpected, right? Now you have to bring up 2 more guys, and that was not part of the plan.
No.
I'm going to bet, I don't know this, I'm going to bet that the plan with Ty France was to place him on waivers. Nobody would know because nobody usually knows when that happens.
Mm-hmm.
He passes through waiver. Either he gets claimed, great, or he comes back, nobody notices.
Mm-hmm.
And then you DFA him once you've made a move in order to bring in the next guy. Not to do it yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
But the timing of it, the way it all played out, now you have this awkward week where you do have to move on from France. And then, of course, you get the Julio and JP injuries on back-to-back games. And the next thing you know, you're in a really bad state that you've got to dig your way through for a week with a bunch of guys coming up to play that aren't really supposed to be here right now.
By the way, you do have the Angels and White Sox.
I know. And
you're not playing the
so
Yankees
freaking bad.
And the freaking Twins and the Orioles and the Braves and the Dodgers and the Like, it's the Angels and the White Sox. Take care of business.
Yeah. Good point. 866-979-3776. Ryan in Monroe. Good morning, Ryan.
Hey, good morning, guys. We're in a tough spot. We can't waste this rotation, but Dakota's squandered the last 2 off seasons, and I don't think it's going to get fixed in a week. I think if you make the move, you've got to do a blockbuster. It can't be A+ talent for C+ talent coming back our way. But there's got to be a change at the top. I mean, 1 playoff appearance in 22, 23 years. I mean, they need to stop pandering to us with bobbleheads and hot dogs from heaven and concentrate on baseball.
Whoa.
Well, I say that as an idiot going to the game today, but I'm going to get a street ball.
That's pretty good.
Ryan trying to pull out a little Mark from Maple Valley. He's trying to throw the hot dogs from heaven there.
Yes.
So, is it possible, you brought this up about the Tampa Bay Rays, and the Mariners have done the same. Is it possible that what has changed in this, and we'll talk about it more tomorrow and in the days that follow, because these games over these next 3-4 days become enormous.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible the Mariners also become buy and sell?
We've seen it before.
Is it also possible that, that hopefully you can find a place for some of your major league stuff that is not working here? It's just flat out not working. And you can maybe find a home.
That's selling as much as it is dumping, right? I mean, what, you're going to trade Mitch Garver now at the absolute nadir of his value?
I don't know.
I don't know that you're going to be able to do that. And, I think they thought if Ty France, nobody even claimed him.
Correct.
Who's going to then trade for someone? I mean, at that point, you're going to eat the whole salary, so why would you even bother?
You know what it's like? It's like they did a little bit this offseason. Like, okay, I'll inherit this from you. You inherit this from me. Like, that's some of the buy
before.
sell.
And you know what? I got to say, I am not generally a fan of it.
I'll take some of your bad debts. You take some of my bad debts.
I learned my lesson on that. When the Mariners traded the what's the right word here? The bloated contract of Carlos Silva, and I chose the word bloated for a lot of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
What did they get back for that? Do you remember?
No.
The absolute insanity of Milton Bradley.
Oh.
That was a trade.
Oh.
You take our guy that we don't want anymore because of his huge contract and even larger waistline, and please give us back your completely insane person who's destroying your clubhouse.
Yeah.
And they got the raw end of that deal. Carlos Silva wasn't good. He wasn't good with the Mariners, and they should have just eaten it rather than coming back with Milton Bradley, who was destructive to everybody around him. I don't want to do your bad debt for mine.
Okay.
No, if you've got bad debt, you got to figure it out. You got to find a way to make it paid off.
Okay. Well, let me answer this before you get to the next caller. I'm going to answer it the way Jeff Passan answered it. I was a little slow on Luis Robert a month and a half ago. I was a little slow on just the soft tissue injuries. I'm a little slow on not posting. I'm a little slow on a few of these things. He's a center fielder. You're not getting on max value. But like Passan said to us yesterday, I don't think I'm slow on that anymore, because I've just kind of seen enough average. I've seen enough over the hill. I've seen enough on the margins to go, I need a Alvarez. I need a monster. I gave the analogous comparison to Brian Burns, walking in that building with the Giants, like different than all the other free agents.
Is Vlad that?
Yes.
If he's available. Vlad would have that, and so would Luis Robert.
Correct.
You know what they really should have done? They really should have traded for Juan Soto. They really should have. And I know that there were folks in the organization that wanted to, and it was certainly a conversation. I don't know how it worked. I don't know if money was the problem. I don't know what it was. They should have traded for Juan Soto. That's really what they needed this past offseason. I said it at the beginning of last offseason, and I stick by it. They should have traded for Juan Soto. And honestly, I think that would have fixed a lot of the problems that they've had. 866-979-3776. Too late for that. Stanley is in Seattle. Hi, Stanley.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on. First of all, about focus. I love what Brock said the other day. He said, basically, this division is giving you the championship. I thought, God, is that prophetic? But anyway, with focus, and I hate to say this, I think it starts with management, and I think Scott just really is not up to par on this aspect. I don't like his right, left, right, all that BS kind of stuff, switching around stuff. I think a guy's hot, let him hit. Forget about the left, right stuff. But I think focus starts with that. And I think, unfortunately, I know if they don't make the playoffs this year, Scott is probably gone. So anyway,
I have a bunch of thoughts on that.
A lot from you guys.
Thank you, Stanley. I appreciate it. I'm going to disagree with a bunch of that. Right, left, right, all that. That's 30 out of 30 managers in baseball.
That's not Scott's call.
It's not Scott. It's just how the game is played today. It may frustrate you, but that does not differentiate Scott from other managers. That's what everyone does. I also don't think that has anything to do with focus. And I don't know yet whether Scott is the one responsible for the lack of focus. What I do know is that it's his responsibility to fix it. He didn't create all of the problems with the moving parts and all the distractions right now for this team. He didn't create those problems. And focus has not been an issue for his teams over the course of his tenure here at all. Quite the opposite. But he's going to have to rely on every one of those skills to get it done right now. The last thing I will say, it would shock me to see Scott Service fired in a world in which Jerry DiPoto still had a job. It would shock me.
That those two are tied at the hip.
I just think if I were Jerry's boss and he came to me and said I'd like to move on from Scott Service, I would say no. Like, no, that's not the problem here. Either he's staying or and you're staying, or he's going and you're going. But I don't see a world.
Little Jimmy Chitwood.
I just don't see a world in which you could separate them. Like I don't think any owner who watched the GM come to him or president come to him and say, this guy's got to go, would say, yes, you have the right to fire him. I don't see it.
Yep.
I don't see that one.
No, I tend to agree. It's not time to put a tweet out yet and do any of that stuff, but I am kind of curious, and it leads maybe to a question we can dig into a little bit more tomorrow, and we'll have more evidence today, and hopefully they can salvage one game and go 2-4 on this homestand and yada, yada, yada. But I was thinking, I think it was when I was on my stairs yesterday, is this and I think I know where you land on this, but I think we also need to be open-minded enough and have enough history to be able to walk and talk through it and separate the emotion from it, and maybe even the bias from it. The underproduction offensively of the last 2, 3, 4 years of so much of the personnel. Is that about the players? Is that about the coaches? Is that about the front office?
I think it's been different for each of them.
I know if there was just if you're the owner, right? If I'm John Mara in this Hard Knocks, if I'm John Stanton Driver, I'm trying to figure out why is there not a return on investment?
AJ Pollock never played again, right? I mean, those guys were done. They were shot, and when they left here, they didn't get jobs anywhere else.
Correct.
Mitch Haniger's not going to get a job and play well in all likelihood somewhere else when this is all done.
Yes.
Teoscar Hernandez did and has been tremendous for the Dodgers this year. So I don't know that
and
we
by
know
the way,
the answer to
Kelnick's
that.
kind of coming back to
Of course he is.
He's 35% strikeout rate. It's not his. Yeah, it's so. I don't know. It is just if I'm in that position, these are my assets. Right? I said to you yesterday, just like radio, it is the one thing competitively. And what I love about this, there's a competitive business to this. And our bottom line is our ratings, and we get them every month, right? And we get them every quarter, and we see these ratings, and sometimes it's hard, and sometimes where do they come from, whatever. But we are based on, it's a meritocracy on where we stand amongst our peers as we compete with them, right, in this market. And where is the return on investment of my assets? And as you look at these assets that have just offensively been underperforming for years, is it the player? Is it the manager? Is it the coaching? Is it the front office decision?
Well, and that's why I was saying earlier, like, if I am, first of all, I got to tie them together. I don't know that I can separate it out. And second of all, I don't know that I'm 100% willing to say I'm all in here at the deadline. As I said earlier, rentals are a no-go. By the way, I'm going to blow out ranks. We're going to keep taking some calls and keep this conversation. It's just too much.
Too important. Sorry.
But
we were going to rank loves. We were going to rank first loves.
Sorry, Maura. I hate to tell you. We're going to blow out rank
today.
We were going to rank
dating.
back tomorrow.
We were going to rank dates. We're just blowing it out.
What is wrong with you?
No.
The rentals have to be a no-go. No rentals.
No rentals.
I think that is my number one. After that, you're having a real conversation about the way you're turning in this team for both this year and next year. So if you're saying buy and sell at the same time, maybe, but it can't be what we've seen the last couple of years, like the Graveman trade or like the Sewald trade. You can't be trading players that are really playing well for you right now and are key pieces. I just don't see it. I don't see how it can be that. But you also got to be thinking, hey, if this thing falls apart as it is right now, I want to be as well suited for the future as possible. And that means not giving up the entirety of this farm system. Let me get back to the calls. 866-979-3776. Let me try Justin in Spokane. What's up, Justin?
Hey, sorry for taking the spot of rank. I feel kind of bad. I kind of was looking forward to rank.
I know. I'm sorry. We'll do it tomorrow. We want to hear from you, Justin. You're more important today.
All right. Deal. Appreciate it. So I think I have a problem with the team leadership. You look at the guys who are normally the team leaders. Haniger's barely over 200. He can't tell people what to do because he's playing bad. JP's having a down year at the plate. He can't, really direct the team. Ty's gone. I just don't know who can step up. Pitchers can't, complain about the lack of offense, or they're looked as complainers. What is the team supposed to do from a leadership perspective when no one's performing? Who can step up and actually say, hey, let's match my energy when no one's energy is good?
And what more can Cal do? Cal's that guy, right? Cal.
He's the only one, right?
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought this up. I had this on my email two nights ago, and we were never able to get to it. That's just sort of...
I got it. Okay, I got it. I got your email.
Stop it. It's the way things go sometimes where you don't get a chance to get to every story. But I do wonder if because of Julio's personality, not a knock on him, if he needs to be paired with an alpha in order to balance off some of his, what's the right word for it? Positivity, right? Sort of childlike joy with which he plays the game. Those are all positive things, not negative.
Yep.
But does this team need an alpha to go with him to be the other side of that coin? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but it's something that I've thought about a little bit.
And does Divish's, Cal's personality, is that what pairs best with that?
I don't know. Cal is a guy you want on your team as a leader no matter what.
100%.
But he's, it's different. He's a little snarky, which is great. I love it. And he's a little sarcastic. Is there a way to sort of pair that with just sort of a no-nonsense alpha dog leader? I don't know if that's Luis Robert or not. I don't know enough about his personality. I don't think it is. I don't know if that's Vlad.
And I'm sorry,
Jr.
I don't say that, and I say that definitively, but I have asked. Benetti was around there for 4 years in Chicago, and I don't want to speak for Jason on that, but he would characterize and say, no, that's not necessarily his personality.
I don't know enough about any of the guys we're talking about. Brent Rooker's a journeyman until recently when he's turned himself into
not many
this
of those dudes in the league, man. Think about it. There's not many of those guys in the league.
But Carlos Santana was one.
Yeah.
And that was one of the reasons that it seemed to work so well while he was here. He was one of those dudes.
Mm-hmm.
He is one of those alphas that actually kind of was able to control a clubhouse even while he wasn't one of the best players. 866-979-3776. Let me go Derek in Redmond. Hi, Derek.
Morning, guys. How are you?
Good.
Hey, so I think we should still buy at the deadline because it's going towards the future at this point. It's not just about 2024, but they can't roll out the same roster going into 2025. And who's to say that they're even going to have the money in the offseason for free agents? So go get a Vladdy, go get a Lubov, go get one of those guys that you can then pair next to Leo Allen and bolster up around with better than above average players like a Nico Warner.
Your phone's cutting out just a little bit, Derek. I second that in many ways. We talked about that a little bit earlier. Salk, do you like that sound that was on the station yesterday or the day before? And I apologize that got a lot of names here. I don't remember exactly who said it, but compared the Mariners situation to having a Brock Purdy.
Yes, it was Joel Sherman.
Is that fair and analogous to you? That you have this young, controllable, cheap pitching.
Yeah, I do.
That
I think
is
that's right.
so important.
Yes.
Right? And you have that. So how are you going to surround it?
I think that is a pretty reasonable analogy. Yep.
Okay, and if I continue on that, you know what you got? You do have a left tackle, which is a super premium position when you've got a quarterback. And you have that to me in Julio. I think he is still that kind of young ascending star. You have it in many ways with Cal. I don't know if that's what position he would be for football, but you get those two pieces. But you need a dude. You need a star. You need impact, right? From Harold Reynolds to Alex Rodriguez to all of these guys have all said the same thing.
Yep.
You have to have that. You know what A-Rod needed? Griffey. You know, Griffey needed A-Rod and Edgar. Like, you can't have two. Like, and look around the league. Look at the teams right now at the top of the standings.
Yeah, everyone's being asked to do something a little bit beyond who they are right now. And that's just not a way to have a tremendous amount of success. Just another minute or two. Let me try to grab Mark in Stewart Park. Hi, Mark. Good morning.
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Good.
Hi, Mark.
All right. So I think you guys have been talking about it all day. The definitely the urgency, the sloppiness yesterday. I think you have to point out Jerry DiPoto doesn't have a contract next year. Justin Hollander doesn't have a contract. At least as far as I know, they don't have a contract next year. Scott Service doesn't have a contract next year. It seems like their urgency and their nervous is pouring over to the team.
Interesting. Where's the evidence of that?
I mean, you've been talking all day, the sloppiness yesterday. I mean,
but where's the evidence those two things are connected, that one stems from the other? Don't make me bring out post hoc non ergo propter hoc.
Well, if I was Jerry DiPoto, and I would like my job,
right,
and I would prefer to not get fired.
Yep,
or
agreed.
Or have a contract next year. By the way, I think that's also another reason why he would consider moving on from Scott Service and stay. But it's a very good reason to potentially make as many moves. You saw them call 3 guys yesterday. A lot of that was injury, but France.
But that's really the one move. Like, if Jerry had made a bunch of trades and dealt away the farm system, I would agree with you and say, okay, maybe there's panic here. But us talking about it on the radio doesn't equal him actually doing it. If Scott was panicking and had benching guys left and right, but he hasn't done that. He's kept Polanco in the game despite having just horrendous, unwatchable numbers. I'm not telling you that you're wrong, but I just don't see evidence to support that. I feel maybe that's true. Like, I'm not saying it's not true. I just don't know that we can prove that one came from the other. Again, I don't know why exactly this is happening, and I'm not saying it's specifically Scott's fault, but it is unfortunately up to him to fix it. That's just the gig.
Yep, it just falls. That's the responsibility, and it's why.
And he knows that.
He does. He does. They've all been around it long enough to know the way this whole thing works and whole thing operates. I'm going to spin this in the last 30 seconds, right? I'm going to just spin this in a positive. Luis, you got the rock today. Go out and deal. Then you go to Chicago and you play the worst team maybe in the history of baseball. One game, one series, some momentum going the right way can go a long ways to all these conversations and decisions that are looming.
Great stuff. Really good conversation. Good phone calls today, too. Thank you, everybody. We will be out of practice today. Maura and I will be out there. We'll have some takeaways from practice tomorrow, which should be great. Oh, I know, Brock.
Here's
takeaways.
Here's the
thing at 8 o'clock, number 12. Seahawk in terms of the most intriguing. Make sure you are with us starting at 6 a.m. tomorrow. For today, though, the hay.
Barnes.
See everybody.
With your mama.
Get to the chopper!
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
Mariners broadcaster Dave Sims.
This is the window for this ball club of that pitching, which continues to be just fabulous. Everybody I talk to, managers, coaches, they go, hey, dude, we do not want to face you guys in 3-game series. No freaking way. Well, it all comes down to you got to get there. This team is sort of made for those type of playoff runs, but to get there, you're going to have to do some bashing and scoring and creating opportunities and cashing them in.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
I saw her texting, coming up to a stop sign, and so I saw the accident coming, and she T-boned us.
In the blink of an eye, Crystal's life changed when she suffered a severe spinal injury.
The pain was something I had never experienced before in my neck. I got massage therapy. I saw a chiropractor. I was prescribed muscle relaxers so I could sleep. I got depressed. Nothing was relieving the pain.
Drugs, sleepless nights, and depression. Sound familiar? I'm Dr. Mark Shelley, a chiropractic physician and board-certified functional neurologist. At Sound Pain Solutions, our treatments include high-dose laser combined with spinal decompression and other comprehensive therapies to rehabilitate damaged discs. We use treatments that are non-surgical, FDA-cleared, drug and pain-free.
I was able to get off my pain medicines, and I was able to sleep through the night, and that was what I was desperate for.
To learn if you're a candidate for our treatment, call us. Sound Pain Solutions, 855-996-3536, or click soundpainsolutions.com.
Paid political announcement. A Bob for Bob update. Did you know AG Bob Ferguson is responsible for Washington being the only state with a social media advertising ban on political speech? In 2019, Bob's lawsuits made Washington the only state that doesn't allow you to run political ads on social media. Voter beware, because Bob's vendetta against your free speech won't stop when Bob gets what he wants. Governor. Paid for by the Bob for Bob Committee, 1283 Puyallup, Washington, 98371. Top 4 donors, Steve Gordon, Fremont Dock Company, Brian Haywood, and Susie Burke.
Did you know there's a revolutionary pediatric cancer treatment called immunotherapy going on at Seattle Children's Hospital? Kids with